All right. Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk for a Friday. Let's talk about credit card rewards. Okay, so whether it's high inflation or supply chain issues, most American families and small businesses are feeling the squeeze of economic uncertainty. But a new polling from Morning Consult shows that consumers are turning to credit card reward programs to fight back against our sky-high inflation and reduce the high cost of living. Let's bring in Clint Henderson. He's managing editor at The Points Guy and rewards expert to give us more info on what people are doing to fight back against our sky-high inflation. Clint, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Nice to be on with you.
Nice to have you with us. I'm a guy that has a couple of different credit cards tied to airline points because airlines are just so sky high with the cost of flying these days. Is that something that's pretty typical with people?
Yes, absolutely. So that's what the website I work at, thepointsguy.com, is all about, is about how to maximize rewards points to travel better. And, you know, I always tell people I have 27 credit cards. It usually freaks people out, but you can have multiple credit cards. And a lot of people have co-branded credit cards from American Airlines or whoever. And also you could potentially have hotel credit cards. But if you're new to the world of points and miles, you might start with a general rewards program from one of the banks that actually you can transfer miles to airlines or hotels. So that's how you dip your toe in. But if you're more of an intermediate like you are, then yeah, having a few different airline credit cards, a few different hotel credit cards could pay real dividends.
So let's talk about how the current economy affects Americans. I mean, how do credit card reward programs really factor in all this, Clint?
Yeah, so we've gotten new polling from Morning Consult, and they show that some 91% of people with rewards credit cards find them very useful. People use them for everything from travel, like we advocated the Points Guy, but also even pay yourself back for groceries, for gas, especially in these times of high inflation. Some of these credit cards will let you wipe grocery bills off your statement. So very lucrative. We find that Hispanic and African American households are using these cashback cards or rewards cards for everyday purchases. You know, it's really important that you have a little wiggle room sometimes with monthly bills, and credit cards can really help you in that regard. I mean, you're purchasing stuff every day anyway. You might as well use a card that'll give you a few points or miles or even cash back in your pocket.
Yeah, I love that, and you're right on the money. I mean, it does feel like you've kind of won against some of the inflation that we're dealing with. Do you have tips for people that are looking to stretch their rewards even further? You mentioned gas, and that's something that people use a lot of times. For example, with Kroger and some of the grocery stores out there. What else can people do to really kind of stretch their budget a little further?
So I would say, instead of waiting till the last minute and doling out a bunch of money for flights home for Christmas, start your strategy right now. Open a couple credit cards now and get those huge sign-up bonuses that are available from many credit cards, and have those points in your back pocket, and then use points to go home for Christmas, because you're going to maximize your redemptions when you're using it for a ticket that costs a lot in cash. So the airlines have gotten better at sort of matching cash prices to points, but definitely plan ahead and open a few credit cards and get those sign-up bonuses, and maybe get your family home for Christmas without doling out the cash.
Let me ask you this, Clint. How about the rates of these credit cards with all the points and the various miles and the cash back? How's the APRs? How are the rates these days?
So this is the first rule of the rewards and points game: is you never want to carry a balance. So you always want to pay the cards off in full. And if you can't do that, then don't bother with rewards cards, because you really need to be able to pay the balance off, because you're going to pay more in interest than you would get in rewards. So you have to be really careful there. But another warning for consumers right now is there is legislation on Capitol Hill right now that would essentially gut credit card rewards programs, including cashback card programs. What the big corporations want is they want the amount that they charge per transaction on these credit card transactions to go away. And that would be a big handout to big business like Walmart, Amazon, and it would come at the cost of consumers. So we're really advocating right now for consumers. Go to handsoffmyrewards.com. You can also use that hashtag on social media. Let your congressman know this is a bad idea. They did something similar back in 2010 and to debit cards. And I don't know how many of you remember that, but after that happened, rewards for debit cards went completely goodbye. So I used to have a United rewards card that I used for my debit card transactions. And after they passed this legislation in 2010, no more miles for each purchase. So I don't want them to do the same thing to rewards cards. So important that we make sure this legislation doesn't get passed this year.
I would agree. I mean, I don't understand why anyone would think that would be a good idea. I mean, why would they want to do that? This is an incentive to, number one, get people to sign up for your card, and number two, give them an opportunity to spend more on the credit card. I mean, why would they do that?
So it's really being driven from big businesses who don't want to pay for consumers to use credit cards. So they don't want there to be any transaction fee, but the transaction fee is what funds fraud prevention. It funds rewards programs. It funds cash back programs. So this is really being driven by big, giant corporations. And they're arguing that the savings would be passed on to consumers, but that absolutely did not happen after 2010 when the same kind of legislation was passed for debit cards. The consumers didn't benefit. The only ones that benefited were giant corporations.
Gotcha, Clint. All right, so we've talked a lot, several different things, some tips and tricks. Where can we go for more information about this?
So go to handsoffmyrewards.com immediately to let your congressperson know not to pass this legislation. But then if you really want to dive into the points and miles world, thepointsguy.com has all your information. We've got a ton of beginner content. So even if this seems daunting, there are some amazing deals you can get. I've flown around the world in business class cabins by using rewards from points and miles. And I've also saved on some last minute flights home for the holidays. So really, really a lot to learn out there, and it's worth your investment. You could end up with some really amazing experiences, or even just save some money on gas or groceries.
Love that idea. Clint Henderson, appreciate it, managing editor at The Points Guy and Rewards Expert. Thanks very much.
Good to see you.
Good morning. We have sunshine as we're starting off our day. There are some high clouds in there, and you'll probably see those hanging out for most of the morning. Thankfully, with those high clouds, they don't block the sunshine like what you have with those any low clouds, and we will have those moving in later on today. But at least for the next few hours through 2-3 o'clock, I'm expecting us to have quite a bit of sunshine here in West Tennessee, North Mississippi. After sunset, clouds build in so much that it will be cloudy all night tonight into early tomorrow. By 9 o'clock tonight, this is 9:30 here actually on First Alert Futurecast. You can see a little bit of rain that pops up over towards Walls and going into Helena, Tunica. Memphis may even see a stray shower overnight tonight. And some of that rain lingers through tomorrow morning. This is 7:30 tomorrow morning. Tunica, Batesville, Clarksdale, areas like Helena, and even going into spots like Wynne and Forest City, getting some spotty showers. You'll probably have a little bit of drizzle in Shelby County and DeSoto County. And then by tomorrow afternoon, we're dry, but we still have clouds lingering. They will be slow to clear tomorrow. This is 3 o'clock. Sunshine in eastern Arkansas. We'll start to see some breaks in the clouds in Memphis and Collierville and Arlington. Northeast Mississippi will probably hold on to that cloud cover until sunset. And then after that, we'll clear everything out. So Sunday looks like a much nicer day. Saturday, though, your high is only 47 degrees. Again, there's a 20% chance of a shower early in the day. Check out that low temperature on Saturday night, only 30 degrees, 54 on Sunday. If you are on the go tonight or tomorrow, if you have any plans and you're worried about that rain I was just talking about, just use our First Alert weather app. You can search for WMC or Action News 5 in the App Store, download that for free, and then you can use the interactive radar on there to zoom into street level and to track any of those showers. Our First Alert lunch forecast today does not include any rain, though. We'll be in the lower 50s at noon. By 1 o'clock, 52 degrees. It'll be breezy this afternoon and evening. You may have a wind gust getting up to 15 to 17 miles per hour. We'll keep those winds 15 plus miles per hour tonight as well. Not as windy as what we had yesterday or the day before, but you will certainly have a breeze. 52 degrees is our high today, and then a low temperature tonight around 34 degrees. And again, there's that 20% chance of rain in the forecast tonight. Outside of Memphis, still at 34 in Covington and Brownsville, 31 in Dyersburg, though. Upper 30s in Marks and Clarksdale, 36 in Olive Branch, 35 in Marion, 34 in Wynne, and 35 degrees in Forest City. Let's check out that First Alert 7-day forecast. 40s and 50s over the weekend, but if you like the warmer weather, you don't have to wait too long. On Monday, we're back up to 60. Rain on Tuesday and 60 degrees. No severe weather to worry about that day. And then near 70 on Wednesday. And with the cold front moving through Thursday, that one could bring some thunderstorms. And behind that cold front, we'll be in the 40s for highs on Friday of next week.
Okay, that was meteorologist Brittany Bryant there talking about the forecast. Look at this picture from our High 5 camera in downtown Memphis. Just gorgeous out there. Certainly cold this morning, a lot colder than we're expecting and we've been dealing with this whole week. It's been kind of warm, but it was cold this morning. Temperatures were in the 30s and 40s, and we're expecting more 30s this evening. But as you heard, it's going to be a really nice weekend, and we'll be checking in with Brittany throughout the morning here on Action News 5. I want to split the screen here and show you one of the top stories on actionnews5.com. This is about Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally here. He is hospitalized after some cardiac issues. So what we have known here is that he said he had some symptoms of an irregular heartbeat caused him to check into Vanderbilt University Hospital yesterday. And according to a tweet from his site here, from his own account, he'll likely need a pacemaker to help regulate his heart. He said, I quote, I appreciate everyone's thoughts and prayers. Hope to be back to work as soon as possible. Of course, you can read more. We will update this script as we learn more on actionnews5.com. But again, this is the homepage. It's one of the main stories here on our website, actionnews5.com. You can see all the top headlines here, the latest on the Tyre Nichols. If you look at the pull-down menu, we have a whole section dedicated to the Tyre Nichols death investigation. On the other side of this pull-down menu, you can see the digital desk, and when you click on that, you can see all of our interviews that we do on the digital desk. Watch it in its entirety. The top one here, the Tina Turner musical, taking stage next week with cast member Garrett Turner that plays Ike Turner in this really highly acclaimed musical that's coming to the Orpheum Theater next week. You got to check it out. It's a great interview you'll be hearing later this morning on the digital desk. But again, you can share these videos, you can share these interviews on social media, on email, and text by going to the digital desk menu here on the Action News 5 homepage. So now let's talk a little bit about some of the top stories that we are following right now. And one of the first is about decertification in Tennessee. So newly obtained documents reveal more about the background of another former Memphis police officer who was fired in connection to the Tyre Nichols traffic stop. Bria Bolden now combed through these documents and has the latest.
Records from Memphis police show Preston Hemphill applied to the Memphis Police Department in February 2017 after attending the University of Memphis for about 2 semesters. He began working for the department in June 2019, but failed a physical exam and 5 months later became a civilian employee. In March 2020, he transferred into a law enforcement position. Hemphill was disciplined twice for mishandling department equipment. He received a written reprimand in 2019 and another in 2022 that required him to take remedial driving. He eventually became part of the Scorpion unit. On January 7th, investigators say Hemphill told them Tyre Nichols was stopped for reckless driving, but then told investigators he didn't actually see Nichols driving recklessly. He also said Nichols began fighting with officers after he was stopped and tried to grab his partner's gun. Video evidence shows this did not happen. Investigators say Hemphill violated the department's truthfulness policy. Hemphill used a taser on Nichols as he was fleeing in oncoming traffic, and the documents show he failed to retrieve a part of his taser that was missing. Both actions are against MPD's compliance with regulations policy. Hemphill is also heard on body camera footage using foul language, including saying, quote, "I hope they stomp his expletive," after Nichols fled. Investigators say Nichols showed no sign of violence toward Hemphill and say the former officer's behavior at the scene violated MPD's personal conduct policy. Documents also show Hemphill did not collect and tag a cell phone found in Nichols' car. The evidence was eventually towed to the city's impound lot. This violated MPD's inventory and processing recovered property policy. Documents show he also violated compliance with regulations policy by using personal handcuffs. Investigators say Hemphill had the chance to change his initial statement to investigators. He did not and declined to speak at his hearing with MPD.
Okay, that was Bria Bolden reporting there. The Memphis Police Association, this is the police union, did give a statement at Hemphill's hearing saying that they objected to having a hearing before the conclusion of the TBI investigation. Now, Hemphill is not facing any criminal charges at this point. Okay, so the 5 other former police officers terminated after Tyre Nichols' death have been added to the notorious list in the Shelby County District Attorney's Office, the Giglio list. So what exactly does that mean, the Giglio list? Well, Mike Working, an attorney, explains what the Giglio list means. Listen.
In most cities, the district attorney's office and the police force maintain a list of officers who've been arrested or disciplined and are no longer credible witnesses. And because they will present a problem to the case, there's a list kept of who cannot testify.
The Giglio list released to us by the DA's office now contains 49 names with the addition of these officers. And Memphis attorney Mike Working says defense attorneys also keep a list of officers who are considered undesirable witnesses. And Working says that list is approximately 50 pages long. Those 5 officers were members of the Scorpion unit, of course, as we've been mentioning, that was disbanded after Tyre Nichols' arrest and death. This week, Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis discussed the fate of other officers in that Scorpion unit. The chief says at least 30 officers moved into other units, like the Auto Theft Task Force. Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland says he supports the chief's decision to reassign those police officers.
Under her leadership, we are contracting with the Department of Justice and the International Association of Chiefs of Police to do an external review of our operations and do a deep dive and obviously make any recommendations or changes that we need so this never happens again.
Mayor Strickland also said this year the Memphis Police Department is considering promoting sergeants more than usual to help shore up a shortage of police officers. Well, today, more than 600 kids from 4 area high schools will gather to build peace and be agents of change for the community in the first ever Day of Peace. The event includes a presentation from Courtney Richardson, the CEO of Peer Power, student speakers, and a group prayer service. The event is hosted by St. Agnes Academy in East Memphis. It'll be at the Memphis Sports and Events Center from 9 until 2 this afternoon. All right, let's talk about artificial intelligence. It's been a part of our everyday lives, but it actually has a history that dates back thousands of years. Kim Clark reports.
Right now, artificial intelligence is the most important technology on planet Earth.
HP Newquist heads up the Relayer Group, a media and education company that put together this traveling exhibit, Artificial Intelligence, Your Mind and the Machine.
It's in our phones, it's Siri, our GPSs, that get us from one place to another, the things that make recommendations for us to buy online. And what this exhibit does is shows how not only AI does those things, but how it compares to the way we do them.
This exhibit at the Memphis Museum of Science and History is for all ages, presented in an easy-to-understand format, focusing on technology and its history, from an ancient Greek legend about a mechanical man guarding an island to Frankenstein's monster, a first-of-its-kind story about an artificially created human.
So people will see where the origins of artificial came, but then they'll start experiencing why an artificial intelligence is different than a human intelligence. And it's the way we perceive the world.
Visitors can also interact with practical AI through puzzles and illusions and computers.
And as they go through, they'll start to see more complicated versions or more complex versions of AI.
Ending with some questions.
What do you think the future is going to be? How do you feel about it being a part of your life? So we'll really look at it not only historically, but technologically from start to finish.
Because although AI can do wonderful things for us, there's also a need for more understanding of the technology.
It's not yet something to be afraid of, but it needs to be understood so that people can get a grasp on the future of working with this technology.
An exhibit that prepares us for the future while exploring the past in a city we're proud to call home. Kim Clark, Action News 5.
Okay, this next story, this kid reporter, I actually shared on my Facebook page when I saw him interviewing Eli Manning in Phoenix, you know, getting ready for the Super Bowl, because it was so good. He's this little guy, and his questions, and he sounds like an adult with his questions. They're incredible. And apparently he is very much a Raiders fan. He's affiliated. He does like play-by-play with Raiders games. He has this little tiny microphone, and he asks these guys, and they're expecting, you know, a kid question. And suddenly he asks this really adult-sounding question, and they're like, whoa, who is this guy? Anyway, you got to see more about this kid reporter, Jeremiah. He is fantastic. Here's Sam Brock's report.
Wait, should I do my introduction?
You may remember Jeremiah Fennell, who at just 10 years old went viral last month with this sideline interview.
Now I'm here with Devontae Adams, wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. He's got 95 receptions for 1,443 yards. He's got 14 touchdowns, and he averages 15 yards per catch.
The Raiders superfan, getting noticed for dishing out those rapid stats. And also,
What is one of your greatest memories in your childhood?
how he quickly makes the interview bigger than football.
I want to make my mark as being different from any other reporter or broadcaster out there.
His aspirations for a career behind the mic started when doctors told Jeremiah's family that he couldn't play contact sports because of a brain condition. That personal story also influencing his own interview style.
But I like to talk to people about their personal stuff, their personal lives, and that's not what a lot of other reporters do out there.
And that quality was on full display after the father of Raiders running back Josh Jacobs had emergency heart surgery. Jeremiah opened his interview with this question.
I just wanted to tell you face to face that I'm praying for your dad and your entire family. And I just wanted to ask you, how are you all doing?
Man, we've been doing good. My dad's doing good. Man, I appreciate that, man. I definitely felt that, you know what I'm saying, on a personal level.
Jeremiah is known on social media by his handle Jeremiah1in5 and on his YouTube, where he does play-by-plays of Raiders games.
Stidham throws a deep ball. It's caught by Devontae Adams. He was wide open. He's out of bounds inside the 35.
And on top of it,
and his online fame
little
getting him a trip to the
you.
Pro Bowl, where his
It's even
compassion for
bigger.
the players leading to this surprise during one of his interviews.
that's for you, buddy.
You're going to the Super Bowl.
Going to the Super Bowl.
You're going to the Super Bowl! And I was so excited. I was so happy.
This kid reporter now
Good
on his
job,
way
buddy.
to the biggest game of the year.
It's going to be amazing. You earned it.
And Jeremiah signing off with this report.
This is Jeremiah reporting live from the Pro Bowl practice in Allegiant Stadium, and I have struck some great interviews. As you can see, I'm going to the Super Bowl this year, and I'm hoping I'll get to strike some more interviews with Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Peyton Manning. You never know, but I'm really excited.
Okay, Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. Police departments nationwide are coping with critical staff shortages and are struggling to hire patrol officers, 911 operators, and plenty more. And this comes at a time where crime rates continue to skyrocket and relationships between the police departments and the communities they serve continues to become more tense. Let's bring in Markel Hutchins, CEO of Movement Forward and a police community relations activist, to talk more about this issue. Markel, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. It's good to be with you.
Good to have you here with us. How bad is this problem, Markel?
Well, it is really the most challenging issue that I think our nation faces today at a time when crime and violence is escalating in some of our most vulnerable communities. Law enforcement agencies continue to face a difficult time with retaining the talent that they have and attracting new talent. More law enforcement professionals have left the profession in the last 12 months than any other time in a consecutive 12-month period. So we really have to put a focus and shift the narrative away from the things that divide us to the things that unite us. And that's what I think our nation needs most at this moment.
You notice, Markel, I'm thinking back, the 2020, you had the death of George Floyd, and then you had this huge undercurrent of this negativity towards police departments nationwide. Is that part of this problem?
I think that is a driving factor in what is now a historic shortage in law enforcement. After the death of George Floyd and even the police-involved controversies that led up to the protest of the summer of 2020, all of those things combined were a powder keg that have exploded on America's streets. The challenge that law enforcement faces is no one wants to be a police officer now because of all of the animosity, all of the anger, all of the resentment that has been directed and in some instances misdirected at our nation's law enforcement professionals. But the good news is our darkest hours as a nation have always been before the break of a new dawning. We created National Faith in Blue Weekend. The Memphis Police Department and the other law enforcement agencies in Memphis are very much engaged. They want to reach out to the community. So the second weekend in October across Memphis and across the country, law enforcement agencies and communities have an opportunity to come together, to sit together and reason together to figure out a pathway forward to deal with officer shortages, as well as the escalating crime and continuing tensions that face our country.
Markel, 2 years ago, the Defund the Police movement was so, it gained a lot of stature and status. And I'm just wondering how much of those residual effects of this Defund the Police movement is still persistent among cities across the country and, just contributing to this problem.
You know, I have been at the forefront of human and civil rights for the last 25 years. I had the good fortune to be mentored by many of the icons that work very closely with Martin Luther King Jr., including his wife, Mrs. Coretta Scott King. I'm a civil rights, human rights, social justice guy. The notion of defunding the police is the arch enemy of communities of color and of any community. We cannot defund our way to safer streets nor to reduction in officer-involved tragedies. But what we've seen over the last several years has been the amplification of the vocal minority, those who seek to demonize law enforcement, drive wedges between police and communities. But that's a real small number of people. What we have seen is an epic failure in the Defund the Police movement. That was not a movement at all. I think most people in communities from Memphis to everywhere across this country understand that we have to stand in solidarity with our law enforcement professionals. We want to be policed with fairness and justice and equity, but we cannot allow these small few voices to really put forward a message around defunding the police, because that just hurts our communities. And that call for defunding of the police has really detracted and distracted people who might have otherwise chosen careers in law enforcement.
So, Markel, here in Memphis, the Memphis Police Department has been trying all kinds of incentives to boost up the amount of officers within the department, because there is a shortage, and all the city leaders and the police leaders have said, hey, we need to hire hundreds more to get up to the staff where we are comfortable. They've tried all kinds of different hiring bonuses, free relocation options and services, all kinds of different incentives to get people to join the Memphis Police Department. And unfortunately, they're still at a significant deficit. What's it going to take to overcome those deficits?
It's going to take a shift in the narrative that we've heard nationally. We have to be the change that we want to see. There ought to be more young people, more people of color that consider and choose careers in law enforcement. Most people that get into that profession do so for the sake of serving their communities. We need to talk more about that. But police departments will not be able to attract and retain the talent that they want if they have to do the recruiting by themselves. Every faith-based organization in Memphis, you've got some wonderful faith-based organizations there. Every one of them, every community group, every neighborhood, every school, particularly the colleges and universities, should begin collaborating with this Memphis Police Department to figure out a way to get some of the people in those communities to actually join the police force. You have a world-class law enforcement executive in the person of the director or chief, CJ Davis. She's a wonderful leader, but she cannot do it by herself. Every community organization, every faith-based group, every political leader has to come together with Memphis PD and really figure out a pathway forward to get people interested and involved in careers in law enforcement with the police department.
You know, we've heard about that, and that's kind of the rub, Markel, is like getting the faith-based organizations in those communities together in order to help some of the biggest problems in Memphis. I've been a part of this community now for 16 years, and I've seen how important the faith-based community is here, and how important it is to solve those big-time problems and come up with solutions to combat those problems. What's it going to take to really kind of change the idea, change the messaging, change the tone, so that police forces across the country are not only places where you see good, positive things happen, but also organizations that people want to join, that they want to support?
It's going to require a change in posture from community-based organizations, most especially faith-based organizations, away from a protest model to a partnership model. Again, I've been at the forefront of civil rights. I've been jailed many times and led huge protests around police accountability. But at this point, our best march is not on police departments, and especially Memphis, but with our law enforcement agencies. Since the death of George Floyd, we have seen not only a failure of a reduction in officer-involved tragedies, but there's been an increase in officer-involved tragedies, both where officers are taking the lives of people prematurely and where officers are being attacked and assaulted. At the same time, crime and violence is rising. Our posture has to change if we're going to change those things. What I mean by that is we need to look for ways not just to challenge or protest police, but every faith-based organization ought to be looking for a way to partner with law enforcement. And through that partnership, not only can you hold them accountable, but you can support them. And that's what it's going to require. We need a change of posture, a change of narrative, a change of direction. There has never been a movement for positive social change in American history that was not anchored in the faith space. Dr. King gave his life right there in Memphis. He was Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., it was Reverend Ralph David Abernathy, Reverend Fred T. Shuttlesworth, Reverend Billy Kyles. So many great civil rights icons were at the forefront of the civil rights movement because they were faith leaders. We need every church, every single faith-based organization, every single group, not to just challenge the Memphis Police Department, but to collaborate with them, hold them accountable when they're wrong, but when they're right, the vast and overwhelming majority of the time, we have a moral obligation to stand in solidarity with them. And that's what I call upon the Memphis community to do. The police department can't fix itself. They can't fix all the problems by themselves. They need some partners. And that's what those faith-based and community groups should be doing at this moment, this critical moment in history.
You say you are CEO of Movement Forward. Briefly explain what that is and tell us what kind of presence it has here in the Memphis community.
So Movement Forward is a solution-focused human and civil rights organization that's inclusive and modern. We take the best of the civil rights movement principles and move them forward into collaborative space. So it's not just Black versus white. One of the challenges that we've seen over the last several years when it comes to policing that we take a distinctly different posture of or than is we saw too many people in one corner yelling, "Our lives matter," different folks in different corners yelling and screaming different messages. We've never progressed when we separate or segregate ourselves from one another. What we do at Movement Forward is look forward to opportunities to bring communities and law enforcement, communities and governments, communities and corporations together to actually solve problems. Too much of what has become of social justice is adversarial. But whatever it is that we fight, we ultimately invite our principle, the premise of our organization is to bring people together to solve problems. And that's what we're doing in collaboration with the Memphis Police Department. Our anchor signature program is National Faith and Blue Weekend. It's the largest police community outreach project in American history. The Memphis Police Department, Chief Davis and Sergeant Tadero Holmes, and so many of the other great people there at the Memphis Police Department put together events the second weekend in October that actually bring the law enforcement community and the law and the community at large together. Again, we have to put solutions on the table. The challenges that we face when it comes to crime and trust will not be solved by legislation. They will be resolved by relationship. And that's what we focus on here in our organization, is that kind of relational reformation.
Reverend Markell Hutchins, really appreciate everything that you're doing. We certainly are rooting you on, and thank you for this interesting discussion. We appreciate all the knowledge. And if someone wants to get some more information about this, where can they go?
They can visit us at movementforward.org, movementforward.org, or specifically around Faith and Blue Weekend. And I cannot emphasize enough that we just will not solve these problems in silos. The police department can't do it by themselves, and the community can't do it by ourselves. We need one another. I encourage everybody to visit us at faithandblue.org and follow us on social media at Faith and Blue, and follow me at Rev Markell.
Okay, Reverend Markell Hutchins, once again, thanks so much for the time this morning. We appreciate it.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Okay, so many Republicans on social media said that her response to the State of the Union was one of the best in recent memory. And now Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the governor of Arkansas, is unveiling her plans to reshape education in her state. Ashley Crockett has more on that.
On the front steps of the Arkansas House, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders announcing her education package.
Of course, this bill will make sure our students spend their time in the classroom learning reading, writing, and arithmetic. We will never subject our kids to indoctrination, and we will never, ever expose our young children to inappropriate material.
Sanders' proposal includes raising the minimum teacher salary to $50,000, complete student loan forgiveness to teachers willing to commit to teaching in parts of the state with the highest need, and creating an education freedom account, or school vouchers.
Our new Education Freedom Account allows parents to enroll their kids in whatever school is most appropriate for their family, whether it be public, private, parochial, or homeschool. We're rolling out this program for our most at-risk families first, and within 3 years, it'll be available to every family in Arkansas.
Sanders wants to place 120 reading coaches in schools who need it most and provide $500 in tutoring grants per kid per year for students K through 3rd who are struggling to read at grade level.
When a student graduates from high school, we should not just be asking the question, what do they know? We should be asking, what can they do? That's why we're launching a dual diploma program in all Arkansas high schools. The new Career Ready Diploma will provide high school students with the opportunity to choose a pathway.
All right, staying in the state of Arkansas, let's go to Forest City, Arkansas, where a 17-year-old is behind bars this morning, accused in the murder of 3 people, including 2 family members. This is Jonathan Rolfe. He's charged with 3 counts of capital murder, 1 count of theft of property relating to 1 victim's stolen vehicle. The St. Francis County, Arkansas Sheriff's Office found Shalonda Barton, her 13-year-old daughter, Kelsey Thompson, and 32-year-old Jaterrence Wright shot and killed last November. Rolfe will be tried as an adult. A piece of Tennessee legislation is moving forward this morning targeting drag shows and drag performances in public. Kelly Cook has more.
The Mid-South drag community put on notice about any public performances following the passage of Senate Bill number 3. The bill identifies adult cabaret performances as anything that features topless dancers, go-go dancers, exotic dancers, and now male or female impersonators. The bill will create an offense for a person who engages in an adult cabaret performance on public property or in a location that could be seen by a child. That includes places such as a public park. Well, that calls into question Mid-South Pride Week, which attracts thousands of participants, including some drag performers, to public venues across the city. Organizers say they are continuing on with plans despite the outcome of the pending bill, but say their event is actually done with children in mind.
Most of the parents that I run into are straight parents with children that just want to know that it's okay if someday they feel that they may have any of these tendencies or any of these worries, that it's okay and safe to talk about it. And I talk to a lot of parents who come and do that. So this event isn't just for the gay or LGBT or transgender or queer community. It's for everybody.
If passed, violators would face a misdemeanor followed by a Class E felony for subsequent violations. Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy will not comment on whether or not he would prosecute if this bill was passed, but he did tell us that he is not in favor of the bill. In Midtown Memphis, Kelly Cook, Action News 5.
Good morning. We have sunshine as we're starting off our day. There are some high clouds in there, and you'll probably see those hanging out for most of the morning. Thankfully, with those high clouds, they don't block the sunshine like what you have with those any low clouds, and we will have those moving in later on today. But at least for the next few hours through 2-3 o'clock, I'm expecting us to have quite a bit of sunshine here in West Tennessee, North Mississippi. After sunset, clouds build in so much that it will be cloudy all night tonight into early tomorrow. By 9 o'clock tonight, this is 9:30 here actually on First Alert Futurecast. You can see a little bit of rain that pops up over towards Walls and going into Helena, Tunica. Memphis may even see a stray shower overnight tonight. And some of that rain lingers through tomorrow morning. This is 7:30 tomorrow morning. Tunica, Batesville, Clarksdale, areas like Helena, and even going into spots like Wynne and Forest City, getting some spotty showers. You'll probably have a little bit of drizzle in Shelby County and DeSoto County. And then by tomorrow afternoon, we're dry, but we still have clouds lingering. They will be slow to clear tomorrow. This is 3 o'clock. Sunshine in eastern Arkansas. We'll start to see some breaks in the clouds in Memphis and Collierville and Arlington. Northeast Mississippi will probably hold on to that cloud cover until sunset. And then after that, we'll clear everything out. So Sunday looks like a much nicer day. Saturday, though, your high is only 47 degrees. Again, there's a 20% chance of a shower early in the day. Check out that low temperature on Saturday night, only 30 degrees, 54 on Sunday. If you are on the go tonight or tomorrow, if you have any plans and you're worried about that rain I was just talking about, just use our First Alert weather app. You can search for WMC or Action News 5 in the App Store, download that for free, and then you can use the interactive radar on there to zoom into street level and to track any of those showers. Our First Alert lunch forecast today does not include any rain, though. We'll be in the lower 50s at noon. By 1 o'clock, 52 degrees. It'll be breezy this afternoon and evening. You may have a wind gust getting up to 15 to 17 miles per hour. We'll keep those winds 15 plus miles per hour tonight as well. Not as windy as what we had yesterday or the day before, but you will certainly have a breeze. 52 degrees is our high today, and then a low temperature tonight around 34 degrees. And again, there's that 20% chance of rain in the forecast tonight. Outside of Memphis, still at 34 in Covington and Brownsville, 31 in Dyersburg, though. Upper 30s in Marks and Clarksdale, 36 in Olive Branch, 35 in Marion. Marion, 34 in Wynn, and 35 degrees in Forest City. Let's check out that First Alert 7-day forecast. 40s and 50s over the weekend, but if you like the warmer weather, you don't have to wait too long. On Monday, we're back up to 60. Rain on Tuesday and 60 degrees. No severe weather to worry about that day. And then near 70 on Wednesday. And with the cold front moving through Thursday, that one could bring some thunderstorms. And behind that cold front, we'll be in the 40s for highs on Friday of next week.
All right, the CDC says the COVID shot is now on the list of scheduled routine vaccinations for children, teens, and adults. New recommendations were published by the CDC's Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, but this does not mean schools will require a vaccination to enroll. In fact, those vaccination requirements are still determined by state or local jurisdictions and not by the CDC. Okay, the Super Bowl party. Everyone's talking about what kind of party they got going on Sunday. Maybe they're hosting, maybe they're going to one. Consumer Watch now, Cole Higgins has some surprising ways you can save money on your big game day.
Despite inflation and lingering shortages, your game day party is going to cost you less this year, except for one key item: alcohol.
That's always the most expensive part of a party, so it's important to think ahead in terms of what you're going to serve.
According to a new Wells Fargo Super Bowl food report, beer prices this year have jumped 11% from last year, with wine up 4% and spirits up 2%. And experts say it can be easy to go over budget if you're not careful. Kristen Mitchell has these 5 tips to rein in your spending without fumbling the fun. 1, tackle the food as a team.
Ask half of your guests to bring something salty and half of your guests to bring something sweet, so you don't end up with either all chips or all dessert.
2, don't get lost on the sidelines. Keep side dishes simple. Whip up something using ingredients you already have at home, or buy cheaper items like wings and guac. A pound of chicken wings is down 22% from last January, and the average retail price for an avocado is down 20% since last year. 3, skip the pre-made trays. Mitchell says they're often overpriced and you can make them yourself for much less. 4, be strategic. Mitchell recommends placing less expensive items at the start of the buffet line to save money.
They've actually found that people will choose more of the things at the beginning of the buffet. Makes sense, right? Your plate is empty, you're hungry, you load up your plate.
And finally, keep decor at a minimum. Remember, it's just for one day, and the highlight is the actual game. For Consumer Watch, I'm Cole Higgins.
All right, let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies. The trade deadline came and went, and we got one of the best shooting guards in the NBA. We're talking about Luke Kennard. We got him from the Clippers in exchange for 3 second-round draft picks going to Houston, and the Clippers getting, and the Rockets getting Danny Green. So we have Luke Kennard. He went to Duke. He also has been in the league for several years. He's 6'5". He has a percentage from the three-point range that makes him one of the top 5 best shooters from the three-point arc. So fantastic news, and welcome to Memphis, Mr. Kennard. All right, Memphis Tigers went to South Florida and brought home a win. The Tigers really dominated South Florida Bulls. Final score here, 99-81. Tigers' 6th win in their last 7 games. Great news for Penny and his squad.
Trying to just get momentum every game because we want to be playing well going into the AAC tournament. We also still want to fight hard to get the AAC championship.
All right, Penny and the Tigers will be back on the hardwood Sunday when they host Temple at FedEx Forum. All right, a metaphorical penalty flag being thrown at the National Football League. Some former players announced they're taking legal action against the league's disability program. John Lawrence has more.
As the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs get ready for Super Bowl 57 at Arizona's State Farm Stadium, 10 former NFL players are suing the league's disability program, Commissioner Roger Goodell, and the Disability Board. Among the claims in the lawsuit, the former players say that they were wrongfully denied benefits and that the NFL allegedly found ways to limit payments for their health problems.
We're the one league that goes back every year and reevaluates everything we do, whether it's a safety rule or whether it's a competitive rule, whether it's taking out techniques to make our game safer for our players.
NFL spokesperson Brian McCarthy issued a statement on the lawsuit that said its disability plan is, quote, fair and administered by a professional staff. And the league says some of the actions taken have made a difference on the field.
Overall injuries in games this year, whether it be preseason games or regular season games, we're down somewhere between 5 and 6%.
We encourage players and coaches and everyone else to come forward when they have symptoms so we can deal with those medically and make sure that they're handled professionally.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
All right, by the way, kickoff for Sunday's game is 6:30 Eastern, so that's 5:30 Memphis time, and it is on Fox. All right, so now let's talk about an imposter scam that preys on your kindness with one simple question. Can you do me a favor? Carice Jackson has more.
It can begin with a message in your inbox.
It's your minister, your pastor, it's your boss.
Scammers posing as an acquaintance, asking for a favor.
We really are an accommodating society, and that's why this scam works so well.
Those scammers are trying to use your good deeds to steal your money.
The request is always with prepaid gift card.
Amy Novziger with the AARP Fraud Watch Network says they've recently seen a spike in this do me a favor scam. One person told the AARP they got a message from their new CEO saying he was busy in a meeting and forgot to make a charity donation. The email asked for help purchasing a $1,200 Apple gift card. But it turns out the message was a scammer posing as their boss. Another customer told the AARP he received an email pretending to be from one of his church members. That con artist was looking for an e-gift card worth $200. So why gift cards? Novziger says the cards are nearly untraceable and your money is gone in a flash.
So what they'll say as a part of their scam is just take a picture of the front and the back of the gift card. That's for, accounting so we can reimburse you. But essentially, when you send them the pictures of the front and the back of the gift card, you're sending them all the information that the criminals need to download the funds off of that card.
So what should you do? Novziger says listen to your gut and don't respond, especially if the imposter is trying to rush you. Also, take a close look at the email address.
Oftentimes, the criminals will mimic the email address, but one letter off. But again, we're so hurried that we're not paying attention to it. Or they might have even, hacked into that person's email account, but definitely make sure.
Lastly, reach out to the person directly by a different method to make sure they are who they say they are.
Because if you reply to that email, you're essentially replying to the scammer. And of course, they're going to say, yes, this is real. So pick up your phone, call the number you have for this person and say, did you make this request of me? And I guarantee you they did not.
Novziger says the amount of money lost ranges between $500 to $1,200, but it's hard to tell the full scale of this scam because she says this is an underreported crime. It's why the AARP is spreading the word to get people to report in order to get an accurate handle on just how big the problem is. With this watching your wallet, I'm Carice Jackson.
Nearly 50% of U.S. adults are single, and according to the Census Bureau, that adds up to 126.9 million people. Match.com did a really expansive survey, and this is considered the largest and most comprehensive on singles. They found there's a rise in what's considered conscious dating, that knowing what you want in a relationship and not being afraid to ask for it. But could we all be self-sabotaging our love lives and not even realize it? Here's what to do and what not to do when looking for love in this Best Life Report. What's your number one, no doubt about it, biggest turnoff when dating?
When they just complain about themselves.
Like being on your phone too much or like not listening.
Well, it turns out studies show the most common turnoffs on a first date: too much X talk, people who invade your space, disrespecting the waiter, being overconfident, and talking about yourself in the third person. Another turnoff?
There's a tendency to want to be too serious too fast.
But to find that special someone, you do want to get serious, with 44 million people using online dating services. But researchers say don't use old photos, especially if you've changed your look. Stay away from glasses and hats that hide your appearance. Don't use group photos, videos, or voice recordings on your profile. And don't show anything negative.
There's something so foul about a man holding a dead carcass and posting it for everyone to see. That's my biggest, online dating turn off.
Relationship experts say that often we self-sabotage our love life. Some common ways: not being honest and only projecting our best qualities, not seeing them for who they are, but how we can change them, and often ignore red flags. But the one thing we can't ignore is that when we do find love, the wait was worth it.
I love you.
I've always loved you.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. The journey to become a parent, well, that can be certainly a lot of exciting times, but it can also be overwhelming. And for some, the difficulty of getting pregnant or staying pregnant, well, that can be challenging on so many levels. I think many of you out there know someone, or perhaps know someone who has a friend or a family member that have had either trouble staying pregnant or getting pregnant. In fact, research has shown that some women dealing with fertility challenges report experiencing depression and anxiety levels similar to those with cancer or heart disease. To help address this need and complement the support provided by loved ones and healthcare providers, Ferring Pharmaceuticals just launched a new text-based platform called Fertility Outreach. It connects aspiring parents with a live trained fertility coach. Now, we're joined this morning by Connie Stark, Fertility Outreach Head Coach, and April Christina, a patient advocate. They are joining us to talk about their personal experiences. Good morning, ladies. How are you? Doing well. Thank you so much. So, Connie, let's begin with you. Let's talk about who has infertility.
Stated it quite well with the introduction. You know what? Aspiring parents pursuing the path to parenthood all experience the ups and downs. And with Fertility Outreach, being able to connect with a live fertility coach is such an exciting time for me, because finally there's a solution to the problem, to the things that you've mentioned, the struggle, the difficulties, the depression, the anxiety. You know what? Connecting with a fertility coach through Fertility Outreach is a solution for that problem. To be able to connect in a trusting, compassionate relationship with a trusted expert who gets it.
You know, it's interesting, Connie. I mean, I have family members and I know friends, and it feels like, and maybe this is just me, it feels like there's more and more people, more and more couples that are having problems with infertility these days. Do you see that? And if that's, I don't know if there's one reason why, but are there a myriad of factors? Why are we seeing so much more infertility?
All right, Andrew, this is really great. You know, it's awareness, and this is what Fertility Outreach is all about. Getting people to talk about it, to discuss it, and not be afraid to put it out there, to get the information. And so the problem that everybody sits in, and when they're pursuing the path to parenthood, that they don't know where to go. Well, today we have the greatest solution that's live, our fertility platform, a text-based platform to be able to connect with all aspiring parents of any stages. The real people, like you said, you know, so many people, everyone's talking about it, and that's the good thing. So now the good thing is that now there's a solution where people can go to and connect to an expert who can guide them through the journey, whether it's the beginning, middle, or wherever it's at.
April, over to you. I want to ask you if you don't mind sharing more of your personal story and journey as an aspiring parent.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. So my husband and I were diagnosed with infertility a few years ago, and it was extremely devastating to try and navigate through everything solely by ourselves. Although our family and our friends were very supportive and helpful through the process, having someone like Connie and a fertility coach to help us through the process was extremely vital.
All right, can you tell us more? Were you able to eventually have kids?
That's a Absolutely great question. And the reason why we have partnered with Ferry Pharmaceuticals with fertility outreach, because my partner and I are still currently on our journey to parenthood, and it has been overwhelming at times, and emotionally it does take a toll and a strain, not only on your body, but more importantly, mentally for yourself. So we are gearing up for our next IVF cycle, but I will say that having a coach and having that support and community there to be able to help us through that journey to parenthood, it is making the second cycle a little bit more easier than the first cycle, because I am able to navigate things and my partner is able to assist. And more importantly, I know the different things that I can say and how to help my partner through the process as well, because he's just important.
Thank you for opening up, April. We appreciate you, and best of luck on your journey. We are all rooting for you. Connie, can you tell us more about your experience as a fertility coach?
Yes, Andrew, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been 30 years in the fertility space, caring for aspiring parents in the clinical setting, and the fertility coaching expertise has evolved, because every time aspiring parents go to the clinic, they get the great science and the great care pursuing their protocols. So being a credentialed nurse and expert in understanding the fertility process of treatments, it really has helped real people like April and her husband live beyond their protocol, live beyond where they're at, to be able to move forward and stay connected and engaged to their protocols, to their journeys, to keep going, because it can get overwhelming with the information, with every aspect of pursuing treatment. And that fertility coach is there just to make it just a bit better, a bit different, to find your best self, to stay connected, in pursuing the dream of parenthood.
This dialogue has been fantastic, and I'm sure very helpful for our viewers. April, can you give us some information on where people can go to get help?
Absolutely, Andrew. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and Connie and I greatly appreciate it. We've partnered with Ferry Pharmaceuticals for fertility outreach, and you can find us at outreach.fertilityoutloud.com.
Okay, ladies, thank you so much. April Christina and Connie Stark, we appreciate everything that you've said, and I know this is a help to our audience. Thanks.
I hope so. Thank you.
Good morning. We have sunshine as we're starting off our day. There are some high clouds in there, and you'll probably see those hanging out for most of the morning. Thankfully, with those high clouds, they don't block the sunshine like what you have with those any low clouds, and we will have those moving in later on today. But at least for the next few hours through 2-3 o'clock, I'm expecting us to have quite a bit of sunshine here in West Tennessee, North Mississippi. After sunset, clouds build in so much that it will be cloudy all night tonight into early tomorrow. By 9 o'clock tonight, this is 9:30 here actually on First Alert Futurecast, you can see a little bit of rain that pops up over towards Walls and going into Helena, Tunica. Memphis may even see a stray shower overnight tonight. And some of that rain lingers through tomorrow morning. This is 7:30 tomorrow morning. Tunica, Batesville, Clarksdale, areas like Helena, and even going into spots like Wynne and Forest City, getting some spotty showers. You'll probably have a little bit of drizzle in Shelby County and DeSoto County. And then by tomorrow afternoon, we're dry, but we still have clouds lingering. They will be slow to clear tomorrow. This is 3 o'clock. Sunshine in eastern Arkansas. We'll start to see some breaks in the clouds in Memphis and Collierville and Arlington. Northeast Mississippi will probably hold on to that cloud cover until sunset. And then after that, we'll clear everything out. So Sunday looks like a much nicer day. Saturday, though, your high is only 47 degrees. Again, there's a 20% chance of a shower early in the day. Check out that low temperature on Saturday night, only 30 degrees, 54 on Sunday. If you are on the go tonight or tomorrow, if you have any plans and you're worried about that rain I was just talking about, just use our First Alert Weather app. You can search for WMC or Action News 5 in the App Store, download that for free, and then you can use the interactive radar on there to zoom into street level and to track any of those showers. Our First Alert lunch forecast today does not include any rain, though. We'll be in the lower 50s at noon. By 1 o'clock, 52 degrees. It'll be breezy this afternoon and evening. You may have a wind gust getting up to 15 to 17 miles per hour. We'll keep those winds 15 plus miles per hour tonight as well. Not as windy as what we had yesterday or the day before, but you will certainly have a breeze. 52 degrees is our high today, and then a low temperature tonight around 34 degrees. And again, there's that 20% chance of rain in the forecast tonight. Outside of Memphis, still at 34 in Covington and Brownsville, 31 in Dyersburg, though, upper 30s in Marks and Clarksdale, 36 in Olive Branch, 35 in Marion, 34 in Wynne, and 35 degrees in Forest City. Let's check out that First Alert 7-day forecast. 40s and 50s over the weekend, but if you like the warmer weather, you don't have to wait too long. On Monday, we're back up to 60. Rain on Tuesday and 60 degrees. No severe weather to worry about that day. And then near 70 on Wednesday. And with the cold front moving through Thursday, that one could bring some thunderstorms. And behind that cold front, we'll be in the 40s for highs on Friday of next week.
Okay, let's talk a minute about breast cancer. Detection is so key. Mammography is great, but it's not ideal. Well, now artificial intelligence, there's a breakthrough in determining breast cancer and mammograms. This was a great subject in our Best Life report. Check this out.
For women over 40, many doctors recommend a yearly mammogram. The earlier radiologists can catch breast cancer, the better a woman's chances are of surviving. And the technology has drastically improved over the years.
We went from old analog films of the breast tissue to full-field digital mammography to now 3D mammography and even contrast-enhanced mammography. The technology boom was amazing, but it was exceeding the human eye and the human brain's ability to extract information from those beautiful images.
Enter artificial intelligence, super fast computers that analyze those images and search for masses that the human eye might miss. AI could also help assess future cancer risks.
We can also guide women in understanding you may not have a cancer evident on your mammogram now, but you are at increased risk for the next 5 to 10 years. And so we want to talk to you about a more effective screening strategy for you.
In women who are high risk, technology that may someday be life-saving.
Okay, we know February is Heart Month, and heart disease is the #1 killer among men and women in this country. #1. Okay, it kills more adults than any other disease. And so it is so important to keep your heart health good and solid and optimal. Let's bring in Dr. Supriya Swarmup to talk more about heart health and heart disease. She's a cardiologist with St. Francis Hospital. Doctor, how are you this morning?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about the common heart attack symptoms, ways that people almost can really kind of say, okay, I may need to see a cardiologist or I may need to go to the doctor's office because they're having some of these symptoms. What are they?
Right. So the main symptoms for somebody who's having an active heart attack is chest pain, substernal, it's right in the center of the chest, crushing, pressure-like, feel like elephant is sitting on your chest. It can radiate to your left arm. It can go up your jaw. It can go to your back. Those are the typical symptoms. Women present atypically, and we have to remember that. Women may not present with those symptoms at all. They may actually present with stomach ache, nausea, vomiting, GI upset, just non-specific symptoms and pains in their upper chest area, and you just have to pay attention to your body and be in tune with it.
How can we reduce our chances of getting a heart attack?
Number one is get yourself screened, plugged in with a primary care physician who is keeping an eye on your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your family history, probably doing an EKG on a yearly basis, and making sure that the risk factors that contribute to having a heart attack are very tightly controlled, and they are diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, for the majority of it.
How does family history play a role in all this?
It's major. I mean, family history, we always ask about family history, and we're talking not, oh, my grandfather had a heart attack when he was 80. We're talking about premature family history. So we're talking about men in their 50s, women in their 50s and early 60s. That's a significant family history. And there the genetics play a huge role, and that's something that we do take into consideration.
Doctor, I want to go now to Barbara Pinson. She's an 84-year-old that is currently on the line with us, and she's had not only an experience with you, Dr. Swarup, but also with heart disease. Barbara, are you with us?
Yes.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, tell me, Barbara. Tell me your experience with heart disease. What was it like? What happened, and how you are dealing with it now?
Well, I didn't know I had heart disease, and I was tired and didn't have any energy and all that stuff. And I went to the doctor, and they signed me up for a stress test. And then from there, I went to Dr. Swarup. And they say I had congested heart failure, and I've been under her care for over a year, and look like things are working out pretty good.
Did you get any kind of warning signs? Did your body tell you, hey, maybe something might not be right and I should get it checked out?
Only thing my body was telling me, I was just tired.
Uh-huh.
I just didn't have enough energy. I didn't have any energy. That's the only warning sign I had.
Gotcha. And so when you were tired, and maybe excessively tired, more tired than you're used to, what did you do after that? Did you go see the doctor? What?
I went to see the primary doctor, and they ordered tests, a stress test, and then a echogram and all of this. And this is when they discovered, I guess, I had congested heart failure. My heart wasn't beating, I guess, at the rate it should have been beating.
I gotcha. What would you tell, Barbara, anyone that's watching here about heart disease? This is February, this is Heart Month, about ways to be very focused on your heart health.
I would just say try to eat right and exercise and do whatever your primary and your heart doctor, your cardiologist tell you to do.
Okay, and Dr. Swarup, over to you. Is there anything else? Is there any other screenings? You mentioned an EKG should be something that perhaps we do every year going into our physical. Is there certain age restrictions or certain times? Is it a yearly thing? When?
Yeah, so usually, screening for cardiovascular disease starts at 40. So once you hit 40, you should really start seeing a primary care physician every year. And they may not do an EKG, but going off of, things like your comorbidities. So what kind of medical history do you have? What factors contribute to coronary disease? Genetics, family history. They may refer you to a cardiologist, and the cardiologist certainly will do an EKG at least once a year to make sure that we're, watching for signs of heart attack or any rhythm imbalance or structural heart disease that we can pick up on EKG. Absolutely, 100%. So at 40 is really when the screening should really start and ramp up.
All right, I got you. Anything else you want to let our viewers know, Doctor? And Barbara, it's open to you as well. Anything else you want our viewers to know that would be important about heart health? Doctor, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think that heart health is something that it's not just about the heart, it's actually about the whole body. So really paying attention to your body, your symptoms, and not waiting till the last minute to seek medical attention. The preventative aspect of this really starts with making sure that we are aware of the things that we can do to improve our health to begin with. So like Ms. Pinson said, exercise, eat right, make sure that, there are plenty of online resources about what a healthy diet looks like, how much exercise we should be getting. The ACC recommends 150 minutes of aerobic exercise a week. So however you want to break that up, that's something our body should be getting a week. So it really starts with not just the heart, but everything else health, and then that contributes to your heart health. And when we talk about the heart, month like February, it's not just about heart attack and congestive heart failure and all those things, but we really also have to pay attention to stroke. Stroke and heart health are very, very closely related. So if you have any neurological impairment, please don't wait till the last minute to seek medical attention, because you could be exhibiting signs of a stroke. So really pay attention to your body, take preventative medicine very, very seriously, and get yourself plugged in at least with a primary care physician.
Okay, Dr. Swarup, we appreciate it. Barbara, it's great to talk with you, and thank you so much for weighing in on everything. And I'm glad you ladies joined us on the digital desk. I know it's helpful for our viewers. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's now focus in on Kim Clark did a 5-star story that is really great. It's about the tour of possibilities as we celebrate Black History Month.
Well, great morning. Great morning. Welcome to a tour of possibilities.
Carolyn Michael Banks, or Queen when she's giving tours, is the owner-operator of this African-American historical touring company. 9 years old in August, and a labor of love for Michael Banks, who said she fell in love with this city by the river shortly after moving here.
And I had no idea what was here.
She uses her years of tourism experience in other cities to share a Memphis many don't see or feel, whether you're from out of town or around the corner.
I really feel for people who don't get it. And I think of the gazillions of people that come through here, and they have no idea. And not only those who come visit don't have any idea, those of us who live, work, and play here have no idea. Slightly left, you will now see our pyramid.
As your conductor, ATOP tour guides take passengers on a journey through our city's uncomfortable and tragic history.
You may have heard the term being sold down the river. They were talking about the Mississippi River. Not only was it used to bring those enslaved into this area, but also those who were escaping the institution of slavery used this as a way to get out.
Tours also celebrate our people's resilience.
So when I decided to call my company A Tour of Possibilities, I had people like Tom Lee in mind, who saw things that appeared to be impossible, yet made them possible in spite of all that's around them.
But ATOP journeys aren't just about the past. Each trip also highlights Memphis' inspiring future.
Now, to your left, this may not look appealing to you. I can understand that. But this is part of Memphis being reimagined. This is where the Brooks Museum of Art will be coming to.
The 2.5-hour tour also shares information that will take many by surprise.
So if you were enslaved here, particularly during the winter months, look for the trees in front that still have their leaves on them.
Spanning from uptown.
I want you to be aware that this is where the very, very wealthy Memphians once lived. Just imagine mansions here.
To the Pinch.
This is where a lot of Irish chose to settle.
Through downtown.
But look ahead and to the left, you'll see the Blue City Cafe, but this was once an African-American owned hotel called the Hotel Clark. And there used to be a sign out front that read, "Best Colored Service Only."
And South Memphis.
This is where Dr. King gave his famous and his last and prophetic speech, "I've been to the mountaintop." I hope they get the richness of this city. I hope they get what they probably won't get on a traditional tour. I hope they understand that we've got to tell the whole story to really get the bigger picture. And that's why, one of the reasons why I started doing this was because I knew there was a missing. And the missing was not necessary. Just tell the story.
An eye-opening journey that enlightens and entertains.
There is an ordinance in Memphis that states you are to hear blues music within the first hour of your feet touching the ground when you get out of bed. So here we go. Yeah. My favorite part is when at the end people say, "I just had no idea." How they say, "I can't wait to come back." ATOP does stand for A Tour of Possibilities.
Right.
It also stands for A Tour on Purpose. Because as much fun as we have, we got a lot of work and information to share.
ATOP, sharing what makes us proud to call this city our home. Kim Clark, Action News 5.
Okay, so right now I want to show you the latest edition of Memphis Magazine. It arrived in my mailbox just a few days ago, and this one is going to be a great one for the month of February. The food issue. It looks amazing, and just breezing through some of these, some of the pages here. I can't wait to read it more thoroughly. Joining me now, Sam Chichi, certainly one of the great writers of Memphis Magazine and someone that we like talking to on the digital desk. Sam, I understand you wrote a couple of these articles here. One of the articles, was it the one that talked about the 9 favorite dishes?
Yes, that's right. February is always our food issue, so we've been playing with the format the past couple of years. So I got together with my colleague Michael Donahue, who's also a big local food writer, and we kind of just mulled over the best dishes we'd had over the past year. There was a cool mix of old and new, and it gave us the opportunity to get some stellar photography, as you saw on the cover. Shout out to Justin Foxburks, who took that phenomenal shot of Sarah over at Good Fortune Co. But yeah, we had a healthy mix of, new restaurants and old established favorites. So I think, like I say a lot, there really is something for everybody. And as you can see in the spread, we've got plenty of variety for people who are, looking to go out and eat something.
Yeah, we got the cover up there. Again, your artistry and photography at Memphis Magazine is exquisite. It's wonderful. I love it. There's so many different colors here, and it really kind of speaks to the food issue that you have each and every February. And then looking inside, this is what really caught my mind, the 9 top dishes for 2023. Let's talk about it.
Sure. Well, I tried a couple of these. Yeah, we were open to the Seafood Tower. I wrote about Fancy's Fish House a couple months ago, and that is just a heaping pile of all the raw bar type seafood that you could ever want. It's got crab legs, lobster, ahi tuna, shrimp. That thing is gargantuan. And if you're into seafood, I would recommend hitting that up downtown at the One Beal Project, and I guess just going to town. There's so much packed in there, and I couldn't finish it by myself, and I just love eating seafood, so that was an impressive thing to find. And then you had the coconut curry at Good Fortune Co. That's one of my personal favorites, and I think they've done a really good job of ingraining themselves in the downtown and South Main food scene in particular. And that one right there, it's got a blend of, I think, over 20 ingredients in it. They have to source some of them from out of the country. It's a labor of love, they said, and it's got this this great umami, and it's got this kind of crispy and soft tofu as the protein, and their noodles are exceptional. They make them all by hand. Those are some of the personal favorites that jump out at me. I know Michael would have some things to chime in as well, but unfortunately he couldn't join us today.
So we think of all the great restaurants and all the great food across Memphis and the Mid-South. I mean, how did you narrow it down to 9 dishes?
Well, it's a really tough process because, we do have more than 9 favorite dishes, but we thought the best way to go about this was to have a variety of styles, first of all, and then a variety of locations around town. So we've got a little bit of downtown, a little bit of Midtown, a little bit East Memphis. And yeah, we kind of drew up a big list of places, and we kind of went over it. We talked about what we'd tried recently, kind of some things that had come on the scene in the past couple of months that readers might want to know about, and then just focus on some other staples. And we just put our heads together and, whittled that list down until we had just 9 dishes that we really wanted to focus on, that we thought really captured the Memphis dining scene for 2022.
I love it. And if people are getting ready for lunch, they got some options now and might be getting hungry. I'm also a big seafood guy, so seeing that Seafood Tower there really is something that's attractive to me. And I haven't checked out Fancy's house. Can you tell me more about it?
Sure. It's been open for almost a year now, but they just revamped their whole menu with a new head chef, Nate Hensler, a couple months ago. So everything you see on there is going to be a lot different. But they have a phenomenal selection of fresh fish that they bring in, a pretty extensive menu with all types of stuff. I'm blanking on the one that I specifically tried last time I went, but it was made with this really good soy miso glaze, which gave it a nice kind of little sweet, smoky finish to it. You know, if you're a seafood guy, you absolutely have to check it out. And they have a lot of other options too, like a really good beef entree and some other, you know, non-fish options if, you know, you're dining out with some people who aren't into seafood. So there's something for everybody. And then once the weather gets better, they've got a really nice patio overlooking the Mississippi River. It's really just a great place to go kick back, even grab a cocktail or two and, you know, look out at the views or, you know, hang out there before you go to see a show at the Orpheum maybe. It's a really cool new spot, and I think people should really give it a chance. They've done an exceptional job over there.
Sam, I appreciate it. I want to bring in the Memphis Magazine's CEO and editor-in-chief, Anna Traverse-Vogel, to talk more about the issue. Anna, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Andrew. I'm doing fine, thanks. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. So I love, I know you've been listening to the conversation. I just really love the cover here. It's great, it's funny, it's cute. And then seeing all the articles, and particularly this article, the images here really don't do it justice. I mean, the pictures are so good in the Memphis Magazine. It almost makes me want to eat the pages. They're that good.
Well, I don't recommend eating the pages, but I'm delighted that you have that thought. Yeah, we really try to create a beautiful product every month. I mean, of course, all of our stories end up online on memphismagazine.com, but if people really want to appreciate the lush beauty and the really inviting qualities of these pages and of the dishes and other things that they capture, I just really recommend getting a print copy, either subscribing or picking it up on a local newsstand, because you really just can't beat the feeling of, you know, I have a prop here, of holding it in your hand. It's just a very different reading experience, and you know, I am heavily biased, but I'm a big fan. And yeah, I mean, this issue is always a favorite of ours. It's fun to spend a month thinking about local food and local restaurants in particular. Of course, it's been a challenging few years for local restaurants and other small businesses. So we really love having the opportunity to shout them out and help remind people of all of the great reasons that we have to patronize them. You know, I wrote in my editor's column this month about a lunch that some colleagues and I had at a restaurant that I won't name. But it is a place that I think a lot of Memphians love, and we spent 2 hours there. Nobody else walked through the door. You know, some places are doing great, and others, you know, if you have loved a place for a long time and maybe you haven't been inside in a couple of years, you know, maybe this is your reminder to go show them some actual love. Because I know we all want those places to stick around, and so yeah, we just really do our best to lift up a wide variety of local restaurants, just to make sure that they all kind of stay on the front burner, if you'll pardon the terrible pun.
Well, you know, one of the things that comes to mind, Anna, is and you know, because I mean, you live here. I mean, there's so many good restaurants, and you heard me ask Sam. I mean, how do you narrow it down when there's so many good restaurants? And then the other side of the coin is, wouldn't some of those restaurants out there that maybe didn't get mentioned, wouldn't they be upset with you guys that, hey, you didn't mention us? You know, because there's so many good ones.
Yeah, I totally hear you. You know, we really try to make sure that we don't just go back to the same wells over and over again. We try to visit a wide variety of restaurants. Typically each month we have both a restaurant review and often also a separate shorter column that we call tidbits. That's like a quicker visit to a local restaurant. We also, if people haven't picked up the print issue in a while, the print issue actually has a long and expansive listing every month that we call our city dining listings, that includes hundreds of local restaurants, and we don't charge them to be in there. It's just a service that we provide to our readers. Of course, there's just simply not space in a print magazine to shout out every restaurant that we love. There are quite a few of my favorites that aren't in there because it's a snapshot. It's a portrait of a moment in time and a particular year. But I would say, for any folks whose dishes weren't included, stay tuned, because we'll probably be there next year or the year after. And again, those city dining listings are a great resource. Sam works on those each and every month to make sure that they are as up to date as possible, which I can assure you is a labor of love because it's a lot of information. And if people are trying to figure out, maybe where to go on a Saturday night, especially once we escape from all this ice, I would really recommend opening up those listings in Memphis Magazine and just think about, maybe where you haven't been in a while and you love their food, but for whatever reason, they've just fallen out of your rotation, which I totally get it. I'm a creature of habit too. We all get into those patterns where we're going to the same three places every time. But maybe this is your reminder to look at those listings of hundreds of restaurants and think about where maybe you want to spend a few hours and a few dollars.
Before we let you go, Anna, I wanted to take a look, or I did take a look, and I saw at the end CEOs of the Year 2023. Did you want to say anything about that column? Because it was nice to kind of see that too.
Yeah. So, I have to say, I might need to turn the mic back over to Sam. He's our Inside Memphis business editor, as well as our food guy for the magazine. But yeah, so that's an annual feature that we do. And, maybe if there's an opportunity later in the month for y'all to dive into those in more depth, that would be great, because there are some really wonderful profiles and some very, very effective local leaders who are highlighted there. What we talk about is that good leadership is so important to our local businesses and our local community as a whole. I think in Memphis, a leader can really have kind of an outsized influence because of the way that this community is so tight knit and everybody knows everybody. You don't have to sort of wait to be able to make an impact. And I think we're seeing the positive effects of some of those local leaders. So, I would say, maybe y'all make time on your calendar in a week or two to dive into all of those profiles, because it's really worth spending some time with. And again, not to compare CEOs to dishes at restaurants, but we really do our best to make sure that we're highlighting a wide range of leaders when it comes to size of business, type of business, and so on. So, you might be introduced to some folks who maybe you aren't aware of yet, and will be inspired by. So yeah. Sam, do you want to add anything?
We appreciate you. I just wanted to say, Anna, that you being the CEO and editor-in-chief of Contemporary Media and Memphis Magazine. So thank you. Your leadership is fantastic because we got a great product as a result. Let's ask Sam if he has any closing comments, but because I think that CEO article deserves its own interview. But Sam, anything else you want to mention before we wrap this up? Maybe he's gone.
Well, I think.
Oh, there he is.
Here I am. Yeah, I think Anna summed it up pretty well, and she took a line that I was going to say about comparing CEOs to dishes. But again, it was very hard to pick. We had another large pool of candidates to select from this year, and everyone on the list was doing amazing things for the city. And every time we do this, like she said, this is a way to either recognize an established leader who's been doing great things for a long time, or maybe introduce Memphis to someone who's been doing great work under the radar. Every time we do this, we do take nominations for the award. So you can find my contact information on the Memphis Magazine website, and even if you want to get someone in early for next year, please just drop me a line and put someone on my radar. We always are looking to expand our candidate pool for the CEO of the Year awards.
Okay, Sam Chichi, thank you. Anna Traverse-Vogel, thank you. We appreciate it. As always, have yourself a great rest of the day and a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
Okay, here is the cover of the latest edition of La Prensa Latina. Let me show that again here. It says earthquake in Turkey and Syria, and certainly this is an international story. And of course, you can see that is on the cover of the largest bilingual newspaper in the Memphis area. It is something that they are covering along with much of the media now. Let's talk about La Prensa Latina and what's in the cover and the pages of La Prensa Latina with the media editor, Vivian Fernandez de Adamson. Happy Friday, Vivian. How are you?
Hi, Andrew. Happy Friday. How are you?
Doing well. So tell me a little bit about this cover. It's quite a picture. It really explains what's happening over there.
Well, yes, it's just that, that I know that there's more. Well, yesterday there were nearly 20,000 deaths. Now there's more than that, unfortunately. But still, there's some hope that they can find more survivors. So that's why we chose this picture here, because this lady, she's a survivor. Thank God. So it is very sad what is happening in Turkey and Syria. So, that's why we wanted to do this cover, and let the people know what is going on.
Yeah, it really kind of shows and showcases what search and rescue crews are doing right now to sift through that rubble and to find people alive. Fortunately, like that woman there in that picture. Let's talk about something else that's a little more local in the pages here. And this is Sacred Heart School in South Haven. Tell me about that.
Right. Sacred Heart School, they joined Casa Teatro for a new program that is called Tacos y Teatro, which is tacos and theater. So what it is basically is it is about improvisation. It is the pilot program is going to be next Friday at 6:30. So what they're going to do is that they're going to talk about social issues, any kind of concerns that may arise, in students and their families for any specific reason. So they want to educate and entertain at the same time, the whole audience. So, when they talk about a topic during that time, then the actors will represent that story. They're going to improvise. So there's no playwright, no preparation at all. They're just going to improvise and talk about that specific issue. So for instance, again, like I said, this month they're going to be talking about love, since February is the month of love, and friendship. And then next month, they're going to be talking about women that inspire you. And in April, they're going to talk about teenagers. So again, this is something new that they're trying to do, for the community as well, just to get everybody together and for a better understanding too, and just have fun at the same time, so it's theater, they're going to explain things, like in an artistic way, let me put it that way.
Yeah, a lot going on there, certainly at the Sacred Heart School in South Haven. Another article in the La Prensa Latina issue this week, Breakfast with Books and International Mother Language Day. Tell me this.
Yes, this local organization, that they have been doing events, like for quite a few years already. So this time they're going to feature, like you said, International Mother Language Day. So with this, what they want to do is that they want to, develop, inclusion, promote inclusion and sustainable development focused on leaving no one behind, through languages, and multilingualism. So it's going to be a free breakfast. It's a free event. So you go and then you have breakfast and you're going to meet other people and you're going to read books for free. You can take some of those books with you as well. There's going to be activities for children. So it's going to be a community event, for everybody. And this is going to be at the Commons on Merton, which is a community center located at 258 North Merton Street. And it's going to be on Saturday, February 18th from 10 in the morning until 12, until noon.
Okay. And finally, tell me about this Cuban cultural icon that's going to be on a quarter as part of the U.S. Mint's American Women Quarters program.
Yes. This is Celia Cruz. She's a world-renowned singer that even though she died 20 years ago, she's still the queen of salsa. And, I am very happy for this to hear this. And not only that, she's the first Afro-Latina to appear in a quarter as part of the U.S. Men's American Women Quarter program. So it is very nice, as a Latina, to hear something like this. Celia Cruz, she's just an icon, in Latin America, in the whole world, actually. She, like I said, she's the queen of salsa, and she has, her songs are still, very popular today, even in the new generation. They hear her, her songs and they like it.
Yeah, this and much more found on the pages of La Prensa Latina, laprensalatina.com. Vivian Fernandez de Adamson, we always appreciate your time with us each and every Friday. Thanks so very much. Anything else before we let you go?
No, thank you, Andrew. Thanks for everything.
Okay, we appreciate you. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we have Tina, the Tina Turner musical. It's coming to the Orpheum Theater later this month, just a few days away, February 14th through the 19th. And joining me right now on the Action News 5 digital desk is Garrett Turner, who plays Ike Turner in the movie. Garrett, or in the musical, I should say. Garrett, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So first off, tell us a little bit about you, your background. I understand you're from Alabama.
I'm from Florence, Alabama. Yeah, my dad is from Memphis, which is one of the reasons I'm so excited to come and do the show at the Orpheum. I got all kinds of family coming. My grandmother's going to be in the house. What's up, Grandmother Leona? So yeah. I mean, I started singing when I was young and ended up pursuing this career of acting, and to be playing Ike Turner now in this national tour is incredible. It's my national tour debut.
That is fantastic, Eric. Congratulations. And that's so cool to hear that your dad is a Memphian, and that's exciting. And I mean, Florence, Alabama, that's only what, 3.5 hours away? I mean, you're practically from this area, We'll claim you, So let's talk about
that's what's up.
Let's talk about this musical, because we see the commercials. They look fantastic. We know about the story a little bit. When fans come to the Orpheum February 14th through the 19th, tell us what they can expect.
they can expect the incredible story of one of the greatest artists to ever live. Tina Turner was from a small town in Tennessee, Nutbush, where she was known as Anna Mae Bullock, and she followed this dream of using her voice, you know, and was catapulted to international fame with the Ike and Tina Turner Revue. But then, you know, the story is one about liberation, you know, liberation from violence and the abuse that she went under with Ike, to then finding her own voice, you know, and the fullness of her own self. So it's a special, special show.
Oh, I can just tell by some of this video that we're watching here, Garrett. And, you know, look, I mean, your last name is Turner. I mean, I know you feel connected to this part, but what is it like playing someone like Ike Turner? I mean, on stage in your first national musical, that has got to be incredible.
Yeah, it is honestly an honor. You know, I would say Ike certainly is the villain of the story, but the thing is, he was a real person. You know, this brother was born in the 1930s in small town Mississippi, in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And somehow, out of the abuse that he suffered and out of abject poverty, he learned how to play the guitar and how to play the piano and started a band, and, you know, pulled him and his community, his friends, out of this state to like traveling the world and making a real impact on like Black music. So to be a part of that slice of Black history is an honor. It's also hard because of who he was, you know, and who he chose to be in terms of the abuse that he meted out. But so honoring the fullness of the man is really the job every night.
Do you have any specific songs, moments in the musical where you really feel it?
Yeah, I mean, well, you really feel it all the way through. It's Tina Turner's music, so you can't help it. But one thing I love actually is when I'm off stage, I'm sitting in the wings waiting to come on, and I get to watch the actresses playing Tina every night do River Deep Mountain High. And it's one of my favorite moments in the entire musical theater canon. The way they set it up and the way they blow it off the roof is incredible.
That sounds incredible. I mean, tell us about the tour. How's it going so far?
Tour has been amazing. It's been crazy. It's nonstop, 8 shows a week. You know, right now we're in New Orleans. We've had an amazing reception here. It feels good to be in the South. It's like bringing the music home, you know what I mean? And so to continue the Southern tour to Memphis coming up next, it's going to be extraordinary.
So you said your dad is from Memphis. You're coming to Memphis here for this tour. Have you been to Memphis before? If so, where have you been?
Yeah, yo. Of course. What you mean? I mean, I grew up. We would go into Memphis for like July 4th, and I've seen a lot of the spots. You know, been down to Beale Street. Yeah, I mean, to the Pyramid to see a game. But really, it's like Memphis to me is like my grandmother's house and that cooking. You know, that red velvet cake. You know what I mean? It's family. It's family. So I can't wait for that vibe in the arena, you know.
I'm feeling you, Garrett. I'm feeling you. Any places you're hoping to check out while you guys are here?
Yeah, well, you tell me. You know, what have I not explored that I should? I'll tell the rest of the cast.
Well, I mean, I can't name one restaurant or two, but I would think you'd want to have some barbecue when you were here for starters. And if possible, you know, if there's a way to go out and explore, check out the National Civil Rights Museum. That's a great spot. Maybe a Grizzlies game if the schedule permits, just for starters, though.
I love it. All of it. I'm down. Let's do it. Can't wait.
That sounds awesome. So Garrett, anything else you want to tell our viewers before we let you go? This sounds amazing. The costumes, the music, Everything that we're seeing from this show, all the video that we're seeing just looks incredible. Anything else you want to say to the viewers right now?
Absolutely. And it's that this show might just change your life. You know, come for the music, which will knock you out. Come for the entertainment. The script is written by Pulitzer Prize winner Katori Hall. It's amazing. It's full of drama. But honestly, like the courage that Tina embodied and the way that she kept going, always, you know, beyond whatever obstacle is incredibly inspiring. And the way that the show ends is, let's just say, ecstatic. So come see the show. It might just change your life.
I love it. I love it. Garrett Turner, it's a pleasure talking to you. Best of luck. Congratulations on your first national tour. We look forward to seeing you February 14th through the 19th right here downtown Memphis at the Orpheum. The Tina Turner musical. Can't wait to see it, Garrett. Thanks so very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. The excitement is growing for the return of professional football here in the Bluff City. Many of you, I sure do, remember the iconic brand of the Memphis Showboats. It is back again. First game is April 15th. It is a 10-week USFL schedule that has just been released, and we are joined now by the quarterback of the Memphis Showboats and someone who's no stranger to Memphians, Brady White, joining us now. A Memphis Tiger legend, behind center each and every year that you played with the Memphis Tigers. Brady, it's good to have you here, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Good to have you with us. So April 15th, that's the first game against the Philadelphia Stars. In fact, I want to pull up a couple of the schedules here that we have. April 15th, 4:30. That's a Saturday against the Philadelphia Stars. Super excited. You got 6 home games. You got 4 away games. You can't beat it here. Tell me what it's going to be like for you. I mean, here you are. You're back in Memphis, in the city where you played your college ball. You set all kinds of records for the Tigers. Tell me what you're feeling right now.
I think the word that's been used a lot is excitement and exciting, and so that's probably a word that's going to get grilled over the next period of weeks leading up to the season. But it's awesome, man, and it's really cool to have the schedule come out. And like you said, you showed some of those key matchups, and we're kicking off the season with 2 big games with the Stars and the Stallions, 2 of the teams that were in the championship last year. So it's going to be action right away. There's not going to be any delay, and a really good brand of football for fans to come and watch.
Yeah, and what I think is really most exciting about this is that it's the return of professional football to Memphis, and it's affordable. So if someone wants to go to an NFL game now, you almost have to break the bank. I mean, you can't even get in and bring your family and, get concessions and all that and afford it all. Here's an opportunity to take the whole family, go to the game, enjoy it, and really kind of experience professional football in a very family-friendly atmosphere. And with the brand of the Memphis Showboats, who, for many of us who remember the USFL back in the 80s, I mean, the Showboats was a brand that was top-notch in the league.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head there. This is, high-level professional football. There's a lot of really good athletes and players in this league, as everyone could see from last year. A bunch of dudes getting opportunities in the NFL, and some of them really capitalizing on that and making active rosters and making an impact during the season. But like you said, it's also very affordable for everyone, really, to be in attendance and to enjoy a really fun atmosphere that's engaging for the fans. And then obviously want to continue to build on the legacy and that nostalgia that is alive in the city of Memphis with the old-time Showboats. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're very, very positive thing for the city, and we're looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah. Anticipation certainly building, Brady. Do you know anything else about your teammates? We know you're going to be under center. What about the rest of the team?
Yeah, I have a really good feel for the rest of the guys around us. We've obviously made transactions in the off season. I think our coaches and our staff and director of play personnel has done a really good job at continuing, to add pieces to the puzzle for us to build on who we had last year. And so there'll be a little change, some new faces, but there are a group of similar faces that are excited and geared up, ready to roll. And then I know I've talked with a lot of the new guys, whether it was on FaceTime or over the phone or via text. And, we're already trying to kind of meet as just, grown men and talk about some stuff and answer questions. But everyone's got a great mindset and ready to get out to Memphis.
I know it. And here you are, you're playing in the same stadium, the same building where you played your collegiate career with the Memphis Tigers. So let's talk about the atmosphere when families are able to come to this first game on April 15th and some of the games afterwards. Again, I want to show you the schedule here. April 15th, that first game. And then we have April 29th against Houston. You got the home game of May 20th against Pittsburgh, May 28th against Houston again, New Orleans, and then Birmingham there. Some of the other games on the schedule. Certainly a lot of fun. Let's talk about the atmosphere. What's it going to be like for some of those families out there, for Memphians that you know and love well?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would issue a challenge for the city of Memphis, and I know our city responds well to those. So I remember the kickoff game last season in Birmingham. I'm sure you can look at pictures. I mean, that was an impressive turnout for the first game of a new league in that host city. And so I fully expect Memphis to show out in that and to maybe even set a record or something. But no, they can expect to watch a really good product in terms of the play on the field, league wide, not just our team. And then I mentioned that it's a very fun and engaging experience for these fans. There's just a lot of, whether it's the little twists in the rules or the different activities or things that the league sets up for the families and the fans that are showing up to the games, around the stadium and in stadium. And so there's a lot of fun and a lot of cool stuff that everyone gets to take in, experience when they're present at the game. And then, obviously it'll be on TV as well, but we'd love to see as many faces in person as we can.
So Brady, the last time a lot of Memphians saw you, you were back behind center for the Memphis Tigers. Where have you been the last few years, and what are you looking forward to the most with this upcoming season?
Yeah, I've been I played in this league obviously last season, and then was able to be back in Memphis and coach a little bit, which was a phenomenal opportunity and something I'm extremely grateful for. And the thing I'm most looking forward to this season would be, one, to be back in my second home of Memphis, because that place has become a home away from home for me and my family. A lot of special relationships and people out there. So I have true love for that city, and being back is always great. And then being able to really represent them and to be kind of the first ones, me and my teammates, to put on the Showboats uniform again and to really build upon that legacy and see where we go from there.
I love it. It's going to be awesome. Really looking forward to it. TheUSFL.com is how people can get tickets. TheUSFL.com. Anything else you want to mention before we let you go, Brady? This is really great news. Very excited.
Yeah, the only thing I would like to throw in there is one, my gratitude and appreciation for everyone involved that's helped continue to build on this league and get it ready, geared up for season 2, and also for the city of Memphis and the people that live and reside in this beautiful place. And I hope that they are just as excited as everyone else is and really buy in to this team and get ready to go, man. We're kicking this thing off. So appreciate you guys, and it's always great to talk with you.
Yes, great to talk with you, Brady, and really appreciate it, and good luck. One more thing before we let you go. Are there going to be any opportunities for the public to see maybe an open practice or when you guys report to camp, that sort of thing?
That's a great question. That's probably going to be above my pay grade right now to answer that. I don't know. That'd be cool if there was. I'm not sure though, so don't bank on it. We'll talk with the league and see if it's possible. But I know myself, and I'm going to try to get plenty of our teammates involved. Being, this is kind of like a home city for me. I absolutely want to be active in the community and seeing my face around the streets. So there'll be plenty of times and opportunities to interact with us. We'll see if the practice field is one of them.
Excellent. Well, listen, we're really excited to have you back in a Memphis uniform once again. Congratulations and best of luck in this upcoming season. Really looking forward to it, Brady. Thanks so very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
$422 million Americans' data was compromised last year. That's up almost 41% from 2021. Rachel DePompa talked to the head of identity theft to get predictions about this year's top data security scams so you can avoid becoming a victim.
We had a near record number of data compromises last year, according to the Identity Theft Resource Center's new annual report. It was the second highest number in a single year. I sat down with COO James Lee to talk about what we saw and his predictions for this year. He says, shockingly, cyber attacks really dropped off in the first half of 2022, and that's because of the war in Ukraine and the crypto market collapse.
But boy, did it come roaring back at the end of the year. So we did see, ultimately, we were just short of an all-time high.
We ended the year with the reporting of 4 major data breaches from some of those big tech companies. But that's one of Lee's biggest takeaways from last year. More and more companies are being less and less transparent about their data breaches. And that's creating a new risk we've never seen before.
They will acknowledge there was a data breach. And unless they are statutorily required to share what happened and to whom, they're not. They acknowledge they have a breach, and that's it.
He expects that trend to continue in 2023, which is bad news for other companies and consumers, because if a cyber criminal attacks one company in one particular way, he's not going to stop there. He's going to do it over and over and over again, and companies are not sharing what happens, so it can put everyone at risk. Lee says a couple of states are tackling this issue, requiring companies to report how a breach happened and why and to whom. But he says we may need action on the federal level. In the meantime, do not use the same password on multiple accounts and turn on two-factor authentication on all of your accounts. With this, watching your wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Good morning. We have sunshine as we're starting off our day. There are some high clouds in there, and you'll probably see those hanging out for most of the morning. Thankfully, with those high clouds, they don't block the sunshine like what you have with those any low clouds, and we will have those moving in later on today. But at least for the next few hours through 2-3 o'clock, I'm expecting us to have quite a bit of sunshine here in West Tennessee, North Mississippi. After sunset, clouds build in so much that it will be cloudy all night tonight into early tomorrow. By 9 o'clock tonight, this is 9:30 here actually on First Alert Futurecast. you can see a little bit of rain that pops up over towards Walls and going into Helena, Tunica. Memphis may even see a stray shower overnight tonight. And some of that rain lingers through tomorrow morning. This is 7:30 tomorrow morning. Tunica, Batesville, Clarksdale, areas like Helena, and even going into spots like Wynn and Forest City, getting some spotty showers. You'll probably have a little bit of drizzle in Shelby County and DeSoto County. And then by tomorrow afternoon, we're dry, but we still have clouds lingering. They will be slow to clear tomorrow. This is 3 o'clock. Sunshine in eastern Arkansas. We'll start to see some breaks in the clouds in Memphis and Collierville and Arlington. Northeast Mississippi will probably hold on to that cloud cover until sunset. And then after that, we'll clear everything out. So Sunday looks like a much nicer day. Saturday, though, your high is only 47 degrees. Again, there's a 20% chance of a shower early in the day. Check out that low temperature on Saturday night, only 30 degrees, 54 on Sunday. If you are on the go tonight or tomorrow, if you have any plans and you're worried about that rain I was just talking about, just use our First Alert weather app. You can search for WMC or Action News 5 in the App Store, download that for free, and then you can use the interactive radar on there to zoom into street level and to track any of those showers. Our First Alert lunch forecast today does not include any rain, though. We'll be in the lower 50s at noon. By 1 o'clock, 52 degrees. It'll be breezy this afternoon and evening. You may have a wind gust getting up to 15 to 17 miles per hour. We'll keep those winds 15 plus miles per hour tonight as well. Not as windy as what we had yesterday or the day before, but you will certainly have a breeze. 52 degrees is our high today, and then a low temperature tonight around 34 degrees. And again, there's that 20% chance of rain in the forecast tonight. Outside of Memphis, still at 34 in Covington and Brownsville, 31 in Dyersburg, though. Upper 30s in Marks and Clarksdale, 36 in Olive Branch, 35 in Marion, 34 in Wynn, and 35 degrees in Forest City. Let's check out that First Alert 7-day forecast. 40s and 50s over the weekend, but if you like the warmer weather, you don't have to wait too long. On Monday, we're back up to 60. Rain on Tuesday and 60 degrees. No severe weather to worry about that day. And then near 70 on Wednesday. And with the cold front moving through Thursday, that one could bring some thunderstorms. And behind that cold front, we'll be in the 40s for highs on Friday of next week.
Okay, look at all those yummy eggs. Wow. Common knowledge may have some people thinking they should skip their morning eggs for their breakfast, at least the yolks, but science says that eggs do not impact heart health. In fact, the American Heart Association say eggs can be included as part of a heart-healthy diet for healthy adults, and the U.S. Dietary Guidelines really hasn't restricted the cholesterol in your food you eat for many years and recommends eggs as part of a healthy diet. Let's bring in our nutrition consultant right now, Amy Goodson, on the Action News 5 digital desk to talk a little bit about eggs, making sure it's a part of your diet, even when you are focused on heart health. Amy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well.
I appreciate you joining us. And, you know, with this eggflation, I mean, they're so expensive to get eggs now, and people are doing all kinds of memes and skits showing how expensive eggs are. But when you do, in fact, get them, they can have so many benefits nutritionally. Let's talk about some of them.
You are right. So affordable nutrition we know is important to everyone right now. So as a registered dietitian, I'm always recommending to people when you're out grocery shopping, look for ways to get more nutrients for the dollars that you're spending. And eggs are really a fantastic way to do that because they are an overall nutrition powerhouse. So eggs contain high quality protein that's going to support muscle and bone health. But they also contain a variety of vitamins and minerals that support overall healthy living. So one of those nutrients is choline. So choline actually helps support brain health, including memory, thinking, and mood. And then eggs contain some key nutrients like vitamin B12 and iodine that the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends for those growing bodies and brains. So all the kiddos out there. And then, you know, Andrew, we're all looking at screens all day, every day. And eggs contain lutein and zeaxanthin, which can help protect our eyes from that blue light coming from the screens and keep our eyes healthy. So we're really looking at an overall nutrient package, which makes it worth purchasing when you're at the grocery store.
Can you tell us in layman's terms, Amy, the differences between the eggs? I mean, I and my wife, we love organic, we love range and cage-free eggs, those brown ones that have that rich, dark looking yolk. But what are the differences between those and let's say your run-of-the-mill white eggs with not so much of a dark yolk?
Yeah, so the really important thing to remember here is that the nutrition quality of eggs is pretty much the exact same across the board. So sometimes different feeds and whatnot can affect the nutrition the slightest bit, but for that person that's out there shopping that goes, well, I'm just buying conventional every day, you know, the white eggs I've always purchased, you are still getting a fantastic nutrition bang for your buck. And so when we look at the different options, cage-free, organic, a lot of that really boils down to more personal preference versus what you're actually getting in the egg. So we know that a large egg is going to give you 6 grams of high quality protein. It's going to give you 150 milligrams of choline that I said for brain health. So a lot of it really boils down to, you know, what's important to you when you're shopping. I personally think the great news is that there's so many different options available for people that really can fit their preference in regards to organic, conventional, cage-free, free range, all of the different things.
So, Amy, I got a question because we talk so much about eggs, and I love them, and I'm on board with you. But I'm trying, along with our viewers, trying to figure out, one, why are they so expensive right now, and when is the price of eggs going to go down so that we can all enjoy them and have them plentiful all the time?
Sure, totally understand. Well, if you've been out grocery shopping lately, you're going to realize it's not just eggs, it's everything, right? So, you know, prices in grocery foods are reflected by so many things, including supply chain issues, including inflation. So I think as consumers, we have to look at, as I mentioned, where can you get the most nutrient bang for your buck? We don't necessarily know when prices are going to change. But when we talk about overall heart healthy eating, we have to go, okay, what can we choose to get good nutrition? Maybe you're not going through the drive-through one day and you're investing that into buying more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins like eggs, and or buying things like canned beans, low-fat dairy, other ways that you can get in good nutrition as well as protein. So when we talk about heart-healthy eating and what you're spending at the grocery store, it's kind of more looking at that big picture. So maybe you're going to buy eggs, but then you're going to buy frozen veggies to help, you know, save on shelf life and save on a few dollars there. So it really is looking at that bigger picture, but the key is trying to include a lot of color into your day so that you get the fiber that supports heart health. And then, as I mentioned before, you want to get that high quality protein. And for the nutritional value of eggs, it really is a win for your protein and your nutrients.
Is there one way to have an egg that's better than the other, or is it, you know, is it better to have it scrambled? Is it better to have it in an omelet? Is it better to have it maybe soft boiled or over medium? Is there one way that's healthier than another?
There is not. Any way you want to eat eggs. So scrambling them, hard boiling them, poaching them, even just like frying them in a skillet is a great way to do it. So that's what I kind of love about eggs is they're so versatile. You can put them in, like I have veggie loaded egg muffin cups where, you know, you scramble them in, add some veggies, cook them on the weekends. You have a quick pop of protein for your busy mornings. You know, if you're going to soft boil or hard boiled egg, that can clearly be a snack. You can also add it as like high quality protein onto a salad, or like I have a dish over here that's a sweet potato and egg hash where we fried the eggs and then added it with sweet potatoes and lots of colorful veggies. So when you kind of think through, okay, when I'm making meals, how could I include eggs? It's not really about the way you eat them. It's more about what you're pairing with them. And that's where we want to try to include more fruits, more vegetables, more whole grains, kind of decreasing that sodium intake, decreasing saturated fat, so that you're really getting in a variety of nutrient-rich foods that overall support that nutrient-rich, healthy eating pattern.
Okay, Amy Goodson, registered dietitian, nutrition consultant. We appreciate everything that you are saying with regards to eggs and the benefits of eggs. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, Super Bowl 57 is just weeks away, and it means Americans are bringing new TVs and furniture into their homes to watch the big game, but safety around TVs and furniture, yeah, it's just as important as enjoying the game. Both present serious safety concerns. Let's talk more about this with Pam Springs. She is the Office of Communications Director for the Consumer Product Safety Commission. Pam, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing just great. How about you?
I'm doing well, thanks. So is this a big issue this time of year, anchoring TVs and furniture, in your household? Tell me about it.
Well, we know that, the big game is coming up. We know that lots of folks like to go out and buy, big screen televisions to get the best view. We know that folks like to have parties to celebrate. So we think this is a great time for us to remind folks about the importance of anchoring televisions, bookcases, all kinds of furniture to the walls to prevent tragedies from happening.
So let's talk about this campaign specifically, Pam. What are you launching, and what do you want the message to really kind of resonate home with so many Americans?
Sure. So today we're releasing our annual Tip Over Report, which is a part of our Anchor It campaign. And what we found is that, there's good news and not so good news. The good news is that the numbers of injuries and deaths are continuing to decline, but we've still got work to do. The report found that over the past couple of years, so between 2019 and 2021, there were nearly 20,000 emergency room visits for people being injured by, tipped over furniture. And these include broken bones, lacerations, bruises. So, we really want to get the word out for folks to, take some time, take just a few minutes to anchor your furniture to your wall, anchor your television to your wall, and just ensure that tragedy doesn't happen.
Let me ask you this, Pam. Is there a specific way to make sure the anchoring is secure? I mean, in addition to anchoring, are you telling people a specific way to do it?
Every anchoring kit comes with its own set of instructions, but it's really very simple. It's like two vinyl or plastic loops. There's some equipment that goes to the wall, some equipment that goes on the furniture, and you simply anchor, one to the other. It takes about 20 minutes, and most furniture that you buy, most televisions that you buy, come with anchoring kits and pretty simple instructions. But if you don't have an anchoring kit, it's easy to go down to the hardware store to buy it. It costs about $20 and takes about 20 minutes to install. We like to think of it as a safety belt for your furniture.
How many accidents do you see every year when it comes to this? I mean, I know you guys track it at the Consumer Product Safety Commission.
Yeah, so, there've been between 2019 and 20, there were like 20,000 emergency room visits. So those are folks going to the emergency room. And, I have no doubt that there are folks that, have accidents, but, not quite serious enough to go to the emergency room. Over the past several, decade or so, there have been 600 incidents that unfortunately were fatal. And so, this is the trend is going down, which is great, but we still got some work to do.
Okay, so I know this campaign's been around for several years, since 2015. Is there anything else you want people to know with regards to this year, this campaign, anchoring it?
Absolutely. Even if you don't have an anchor kit or are unable to anchor for some reason, there are things that you can do in the house to keep your furniture stable and to ensure that, toddlers or people who may be unsteady on their feet, like senior citizens, don't have an accident. You can push the television back so that it's as close to the wall as possible, store heavy items on the, towards the floor on bottom shelves, and keep remote controls, toys. Don't put those things on the edge that toddlers might look and look to, to try and access. Keep, electrical cords and cable cords out of the way of toddlers as well. All of these things will help you have, a safe, and happy celebration no matter who you're rooting for.
All right, Pam Springs with the Consumer Product Safety Commission and the Anchor It campaign. We appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we all know that Memphis has a very vibrant and active medical community, and this morning we want to talk about some new guidelines for the cardiovascular care of cancer patients, which we have Dr. Isaac Ray from Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare to discuss more about some of these new guidelines out there. Dr. Ray, appreciate you joining us. Tell us first off, what is cardio-oncology?
Oncology is a field that is born out of the success of the oncology care. Essentially, cancer doctors have gotten so good at treating their patients that they're living much longer. And because they're living so much longer, now we're seeing a lot of these cardiovascular manifestations, often related to their cancer therapy. It can sometimes take years to manifest. It can sometimes occur while they're on therapy. But because of this giant intersection between the two leading causes of death in America, there is a great amount of data and a great opportunity for us to improve the care of many patients.
It sounds like it. I mean, you specialize in cardio-oncology, and I understand that you are someone, you're the only board certified, if I'm reading this right, cardio-oncologist in the Memphis area. So what made you interested in this field, and how vibrant and active is it?
It's an active field, not as active in Memphis as compared to some other places, perhaps. I think I first got interested in it when, during my near my medical training, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I started to pay attention more to this field. But then in residency between oncology and cardiology rotations, there is just a complete difference of view, perspective, and just general way of thinking. And it became apparent that these two sides, even though they were responsible for huge chunks of American healthcare, they just did not think on the same wavelength sometimes. And while in their respective fields, that doesn't matter. That's perfectly fine. But when the two ever come together, it can be confusing. And I think that the biggest thing that our field does is that we actually enable therapy. We don't really restrict people to say your heart's too sick very often. The oncology guidelines already pretty much do that to their extent. But the big thing we do is you say, no, your heart can't handle this. It can. We can push forward. We don't need to go to that second or third line, not as good therapy.
Let me ask you something, Doctor, because when I was prepping for this interview, I thought, oh, okay, I see how this can happen, but I don't really know if cancers cause heart problems or if that's really all that common. Can you shed some light on that?
So, I can use some of the older data. So about 7 or 8% of women that receive the standard cancer therapy for certain kinds of cancers will drop their heart function. 7-8%, and there's a lot of breast cancer patients out there. Now that those therapies are constantly evolving, so as far as the newest therapies, it's a little bit of a different number. We don't know it yet, but it's a surprisingly common phenomenon, especially for certain drugs in particular, that can drop heart function and can cause issues down the line. It is only until recently, though, that we've gotten newer and newer therapies out that are doing amazing things that weren't possible before. And so while maybe even when I was in medical school, we were always taught that if you cannot cut out a melanoma, that someone's going to die from it. That's not the case anymore. But some of those new therapies have a small, sometimes just on the order of 1 to 2% chance of causing significant cardiac effects. So yes, there is definitely enough cardiac effects out there, but you have to be looking for them, and you want to catch them preferably early so you can treat them before they become an issue.
So, in layman's terms, doctor, everyone has or has been affected either through friends or family with cancer. You know, someone's gotten cancer over the years, a loved one of some sort. And the European Society of Cardiology recently released these new guidelines for cardiovascular care of cancer patients. What's the most important aspect to those guidelines that our viewers should know about this morning?
I think the field of cardio-oncology has still been, it's been slowly emerging and slowly growing through the years. So these guidelines really frame what the field is. And they finally put a stamp on it. There are journals, there are societies, but now we know that it's here. It's definitely something to consider. And it's something that cardiologists should be aware of. And it really sets the tone for, yes, now cardiologists need to know this much about oncology, which they really haven't needed to know before, and vice versa.
Anything else you want to add before we let you go, doctor?
I think that this is a difficult field for patients to know when to see a cardio-oncologist. And even what to do with this document. I think this document might be beyond the scope of most people wanting to look at it. It's got a lot of big words in it that it can take a while to get through. But I think it's important that if an oncologist ever says, I'm not sure if your heart can handle this therapy, that's the time that I can want to be involved. I want to make sure that a person can get the best therapy available, even if the oncologist is perhaps a little bit nervous about how the heart can handle it. That's what my job is.
I got you. Well, Dr. Isaac Ray, we appreciate you and all the staff there at Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare, and appreciate you kind of peeling back the curtain on what cardio-oncology is and being the only specialist in the Memphis area. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
The autopsy report for an inmate who died after an altercation with guards inside the Shelby County Jail last October shows his death was a homicide. The 33-year-old Gershon Freeman is calling for all of the jail surveillance video of the encounter to be released. Action News 5's Joyce Peterson reports.
Gershon Freeman's autopsy report, obtained by Action News 5 Thursday, said Freeman, who was booked into the Shelby County Jail on domestic assault and kidnapping charges, was involved in a physical altercation with corrections officers when he collapsed October 5th last year. Cause of death, exacerbation of his heart condition due to physical altercation and subdual. Manner of death, homicide.
His death was ruled a homicide, and that means that he died because of other people.
Josh Spickler, executive director of Just City, a justice reform nonprofit, said transparency and accountability issues in the county jail are as worrisome as the problems uncovered in the Memphis Police Department investigation of Tyree Nichols' lethal beating.
We don't have video. We're missing a lot of the components of the Tyree Nichols case, but it's very similar, eerily familiar, in fact. Another man whose death comes at the hands of people charged with protecting him.
Rikers Island, with a jail population near 6,000, reported 19 deaths in 2022. 201 Poplar reported at least 10 deaths last year, with a population far less than half of Rikers, making the Shelby County Jail deadlier than the notorious New York jail.
It's been our own investigation. No one has said anything.
Gershon Freeman's wife and family, desperate for answers in October, still desperate today. His sister telling Action News 5, "We just want justice. The tape shown to us was edited. We want tapes released that were promised to us, and every guard involved punished." A family and community advocates pushing for answers and for change.
And whether they're guilty or not, they deserve protection. They deserve dignity. They don't deserve to die a violent death.
Andrew Douglas back here in the Action News 5 digital desk, disposing all of those expired medications. That is something that we have to do on a regular basis. No one wants to have expired medications around. That can lead to a lot of problems. But how do we properly dispose of these unused medications? For more on that, let's bring in Director of Pharmacy, Dr. Andrice Gandy with Methodist North Hospital. She is joining us now at the digital desk. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. So what is the shelf life on medications generally?
So when you think about a shelf life, that means when does the drug expire? So the manufacturer or the person who produces the medication, they're basically saying that the drug is stable, that it's pure at this certain date. So anytime past that date, you're taking a risk of taking that medication because it has not been tested or studied past that point. So in general, you usually get 1 year dating for most medications. A lot of your liquid medications may give you a shorter date for those medications. But for the most part, you usually get a year for most medications. But again, the manufacturer, they give those expiration dates because that's how long it's been tested and that's when they know it's good to take.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Gandy. What happens if you take expired medications? Does it lose its effectiveness? Is it something more adverse? What?
So it varies depending on the medication, but a lot of medications, it's stated that it's no longer productive, is no longer effective, or what we call efficacious past a certain date. So even though the label may say the strength of 325 milligrams, that will go down past expiration date. Also, there are risks of stability of the drug because the drug is also being broken down. So past a certain date, we can't guarantee that the drug won't cause any type of harm. So that's why we think it's really important to discard medications past the expiration date.
What about over-the-counter medications like cough syrup? Should you follow the same rule with that?
Exactly. So we do want you to follow the same rules, no matter if it's a liquid or a tablet, no matter the type of medications. Always check the expiration date and please discard past that expiration date.
Okay, so we've talked about how we need to discard this medication after certain expiration dates. What's the best methods to discard some of these unused and expired medications, doctor?
So the number one method is a drug take-back location. So there's numerous locations in the city of Memphis. A lot of your police stations take back drugs. A lot of your retail pharmacies, like your Walgreens pharmacies, take back drugs. So that's the number one most effective way, is to return these meds to a approved drug take-back location. And that can be found with a simple Google. You can Google drug back location in Memphis, and it'll show you the different locations in our area that do accept medication.
Good morning. We have sunshine as we're starting off our day. There are some high clouds in there, and you'll probably see those hanging out for most of the morning. Thankfully, with those high clouds, they don't block the sunshine like what you have with those any low clouds, and we will have those moving in later on today. But at least for the next few hours through 2-3 o'clock, I'm expecting us to have quite a bit of sunshine here in West Tennessee, North Mississippi. After sunset, clouds build in so much that it will be cloudy all night tonight into early tomorrow. By 9 o'clock tonight, this is 9:30 here actually on First Alert Futurecast. You can see a little bit of rain that pops up over towards Walls and going into Helena, Tunica. Memphis may even see a stray shower overnight tonight. And some of that rain lingers through tomorrow morning. This is 7:30 tomorrow morning. Tunica, Batesville, Clarksdale, areas like Helena, and even going into spots like Wynne and Forest City, getting some spotty showers. You'll probably have a little bit of drizzle in Shelby County and DeSoto County. And then by tomorrow afternoon, we're dry, but we still have clouds lingering. They will be slow to clear tomorrow. This is 3 o'clock. Sunshine in eastern Arkansas. We'll start to see some breaks in the clouds in Memphis and Collierville and Arlington. Northeast Mississippi will probably hold on to that cloud cover until sunset. And then after that, we'll clear everything out. So Sunday looks like a much nicer day. Saturday, though, your high is only 47 degrees. Again, there's a 20% chance of a shower early in the day. Check out that low temperature on Saturday night, only 30 degrees, 54 on Sunday. If you are on the go tonight or tomorrow, if you have any plans and you're worried about that rain I was just talking about, just use our First Alert weather app. You can search for WMC or Action News 5 in the App Store, download that for free, and then you can use the interactive radar on there to zoom into street level and to track any of those showers.
Okay, Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. It is cold, it is snowy and icy, and man, the bridges and overpasses are just a mess. You know, I asked some of my Facebook friends, what is the best way to get through the winter months? Because it's so gloomy outside. People that have seasonal affective disorder are just like, get me out of here. Well, one of the ways to get through all these winter and snow and cloudy and gloomy days is to think about spring and think about summer and think about all the festivals and hanging outside with people like Jennifer Chandler at the digital desk, because she has a great article that's up right now on commercialappeal.com. It's about all these great festivals that you can be a part of in the next few months. Right, Jennifer? Good morning.
Right. I agree with you totally. When I wrote this story, I do this every year. I do a whole list of all the major food and wine and beer festivals that are coming to town. And when I was writing this earlier this month, I had no idea we'd be talking about it in the middle of a ice storm when we were stuck at home and freezing to death. So this is definitely some things to look forward to and put on your calendar when we can all get out of the house safely. Soon, I hope.
Perfect timing, I just have to say. So we're ready for it. Let's go.
Yeah, well, the first one, this is actually in February. So hopefully within the next week or so, the weather will warm up a little bit. But the Memphis Restaurant Association has their annual food festival. They used to always do an awards ceremony at this time of year to recognize Restaurateur of the Year and Associate Member of the Year. And it used to be only for the restaurant industry. Well, I think it was last year, or maybe the year before, they decided to open it up to the general public. So actually on Super Bowl Sunday, they are throwing a food festival at the Kent, and they will honor their big awards. By the way, shout out to Ryan Trim of Sunrise Memphis and 117 Prime. He was named Restaurateur of the Year. And event will be February 12th. And it's always fun. It's a big food tasting event. A lot of food industry people are there because it's typically a slow day for the restaurant industry because everybody's usually watching the football game. So mark that on your calendar.
Perfect.
Then moving forward to the spring, I love restaurant weeks because they're the perfect time to revisit someplace you maybe haven't been in a minute. And they're also the perfect time to try something new. So whenever we have a restaurant week in Memphis, whether it's Black Restaurant Week, which is the one I'm talking about right now, which is March 5th through 11th, or Downtown Dining Week, which will happen in November, I always try to revisit someplace I haven't been to in a minute. Or I also try to find some place that I have not been before to try something new. So be on the lookout for the restaurants that are participating in Memphis Black Restaurant Week. They will have lots of great specials for you to try. They'll be showing off their restaurant. They'll have special deals. So definitely look forward to posts coming soon about Memphis Black Restaurant Week. Moving on. Wine. If you like wine and you like friends, Vintage 901 needs to be on your calendar. Now, we haven't had a true Vintage 901 festival in a couple of years, and they've done kind of smaller versions of it, but it is coming back in full force this year. It's going to be April 22nd and 23rd, and this is a great wine tasting event that also has a lot of educational components. So you go and I've always done it with a bunch of girlfriends. It's in in an afternoon and on a Saturday, and we've gone to the wine tasting classes and learn more about rosés and things like that, plus get to taste all the wine, and there's always some good food. So it's a really fun community event centered around wine. And on the Sunday, they actually do a brunch, and I forget the exact name of it. It has a cute name. It has to do with bubbles and brunch or something like that. But basically, they do a champagne centered brunch on the Sunday of that weekend. So mark your calendars for Vintage 901. And I'm also a fan, in addition to wine, of crawfish. So Ragin' Cajun Crawfish Festival is back again this year, April 16th. Some say it's the official kickoff of the spring outdoor festival season. And it kind of is, because it's the first event that really happens outdoors in Memphis. And it is always, always so much fun. You know, they say it's still happening where it normally does, which is kind of on the corner of Beale and Wagner. Of course, last time I drove by there, that was still like a construction zone. So I'm sure it will be somewhere downtown like that if for some reason they have to move and if their normal spot is not available. But for right now, they're planning on it being in their normal spot downtown. Moving on, Greek food, the Memphis Greek Festival is amazing. Andrew, do you participate in this event?
Yes, so I'm a member of the church there, and so my kids, my wife, we're all there. We're all having a good time and dancing and singing and eating. Opa, Jennifer.
Well, I am not Greek, but I love this festival. In fact, one of the times I did get to go to, I have participated in some of the workshops where they were preparing foods, like all the pastries in advance. And it's so much fun. I always joked, I said, can I be an honorary Greek person? But the food is absolutely incredible. This is a really great community event that brings in not only the Greek community, but all of Memphis. It's at the Greek Orthodox Church that's over there on Highland. And it is it's a one-day festival, and you can go and you can get great food. There is a drive-through. So if you don't want to go to the festival, you can still do this drive-through and pick up meals. Gosh, the spanakopita is so good, and the baklava, and it's two days. Sorry.
2 days, and it's Mother's Day weekend.
So, well, May 12th is what I have written down. Is that correct? Is that Mother's Day?
It is. It's that weekend, Mother's Day weekend. We call it the Greek Island on Highland.
That's a great one. Well, that is always, always fun. And I love how it has a way that you can go and be part of the event. If you don't want to be the whole event, you can still do the drive-through for it. Okay, then the biggie for Memphis that everyone comes to, Memphis in May World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest, which I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. I still call it Barbecue Fest, is May 17th through 20. And it is going to be back on the river. Thank goodness, because I like this event anywhere it happens to be because it's such a great event and there's so much great food and so many great people. But I do really feel like that the river is part of this event, at least for me, because one of my favorite things to do is go right before sunset and watch the sunset, and then go and visit my friends' booths and walk around and people watch. And so it is back on the river this year, May 17th through 20th. You know, I always think my favorite night to go, of course, I shouldn't say this because it's less crowded, is the Thursday night is my favorite night to go because everyone is all still having fun and it's not as crowded. Whereas on Friday night, everyone kind of gets down to business because the finals are on Saturday morning. So if you like barbecue and you like Greek food, you're probably also like me that you like Italian food. So the Memphis Italian Festival is on June 1st through 3rd this year. And basically it's kind of, I think they do their, if I remember correctly, they explained it to me once, but basically how their judging and their teams and everything work, it's almost like an Italian version of how the Memphis in May competition is set up. So teams have to come, they have to cook everything from scratch on site in their tent, just like at Barbecue Fest or Memphis in May World Championship Cooking Contest. And it's just a really cool event. They have lots of great music. This is located in East Memphis, kind of at Mendenhall and Park at Holy Rosary Church. It started out in their parking lot as a fundraiser for the church and its sports programs. And over the years, it's grown. It's taken over all of Marquette Park. It's a ton of fun, and especially it's more fun if you actually know somebody cooking. So it's the same thing like it is at Memphis in May. You kind of have to know someone to go into their tent, but you can obviously walk around and see all the action. But one of the things that's nice that this organization does is they do a tent where they have some of their top competing teams come and serve food. So you can taste some of these amazing Italian gravies, as they call them, made here in town. Moving on in the summer, there's two more I'm going to mention is Craft Food and Wine Festival is June 25th. This is an event that happens downtown at the Columns, which is kind of like I think that's 2nd and Union. And it is a really, really great event that Christina McCarter, who owns Feast and Graze and City Tasting Box, organized. And what it is it features all of the food artisans here in Memphis. So it's not necessarily a restaurant-driven event. It's about people that are making foods that you can buy, whether it's jams and jellies or breads or gelato or chocolates or desserts or different kinds of dips, you name it. These people are there and you can taste their products, and it's also a marketplace. So if you love something you can taste, you can also purchase it and take it home and enjoy it in your own home later on. So that's a really, really cool event. And rounding out the beginning of the summer, Memphis Vegan Festival is June 18th. Cynthia Daniels, she has a group that does a lot of interesting festivals around town. And this one will be on the Fourth Bluff. It's moving this year. I think it was at the fairgrounds last year. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it features vegan food vendors, and it's also a marketplace. So it has a lot of artisan people that are making jewelry and, clothes and things like that too. So it's kind of a fun excuse to get out on a weekend. So that kind of rounds us out for the first 6 months of the year. On my list, I have many, many more for the rest of the year, but we will talk about that later in the summer. But some of the things to look forward to coming in August are Dinner en Blanc and Hill Country Boucherie. Then you have in October, you have Memphis Food and Wine Festival, Cooper Young Beer Fest. In November, you have Grind City Coffee Expo. So if you want all the dates on all of those events, you can head over to commercialappeal.com and see what the dates are, so you can block it out and say, I am not going out of town this weekend because I want to be here for this event. And I do have, ticket information and pricing and all of that listed on this story that I have up there. And I kind of refer to it throughout the year, the story. I'm glad it lives up in the world of, the internet, so that I can remind myself, oh, what's going on this month if I forgot to put something on my calendar. And then I can remind myself to go buy a ticket.
Yes, absolutely. Jennifer Chandler, you hit on it perfectly. 18 Memphis food festivals you don't want to miss in the upcoming year of 2023. Perfect timing when we're dealing with all the ice and sleet and everything else we got going on this week and in the last
I was going to say, hop over there and dream about warmer weather and sitting out, outside somewhere in a spot all dressed in white and dinner en blanc, or being at Italian festival, dancing, or being at the Memphis Greek Festival and learning some, traditional dances and learning how to correctly say "Opa."
And having an adult beverage too, of course. All right, Jennifer Chandler, as always, we appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Let's talk about credit card rewards, okay? So whether it's high inflation or supply chain issues, most American families and small businesses are feeling the squeeze of economic uncertainty. But a new polling from Morning Consult shows that consumers are turning to credit card reward programs to fight back against our sky-high inflation and reduce the high cost of living. Let's bring in Clint Henderson. He's managing editor at The Points Guy and Rewards Expert to give us more info on what people are doing to fight back against our sky-high inflation. Clint, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Nice to be on with you.
Nice to have you with us. I'm a guy that has a couple of different credit cards tied to airline points because airlines are just so sky high with the cost of flying these days. Is that something that's pretty typical with people?
Yes, absolutely. So that's what the website I work at, thepointsguy.com, is all about, is about how to maximize rewards points to travel better. And, I always tell people I have 27 credit cards. It usually freaks people out, but you can have multiple credit cards. And a lot of people have co-branded credit cards from American Airlines or whoever. And also you could potentially have hotel credit cards. But if you're new to the world of points and miles, you might start with a general rewards program from one of the banks that actually you can transfer miles to airlines or hotels. So that's how you dip your toe in. But if you're more of an intermediate like you are, then yeah, having a few different airline credit cards, a few different hotel credit cards could pay real dividends.
So let's talk about how the current economy affects Americans. I mean, how do credit card reward programs really factor in all this, Clint?
Yeah, so we've gotten new polling from Morning Consult, and they show that some 91% of people with rewards credit cards find them very useful. People use them for everything from travel, like we advocate at the Points Guide, but also even pay yourself back for groceries, for gas, especially in these times of high inflation. Some of these credit cards will let you wipe grocery bills off your statement. So very lucrative. We find that Hispanic and African American households are using these cashback cards or rewards cards for everyday purchases. It's really important that you have a little wiggle room sometimes with monthly bills, and credit cards can really help you in that regard. I mean, you're purchasing stuff every day anyway. You might as well use a card that'll give you a few points or miles or even cash back in your pocket.
Yeah, I love that, and you're right on the money. I mean, it does feel like you've kind of won against some of the inflation that we're dealing with. Do you have tips for people that are looking to stretch their rewards even further? You mentioned gas, and that's something that people use a lot of times. For example, with Kroger and some of the grocery stores out there. What else can people do to really kind of stretch their budget a little further?
So I would say, instead of waiting till the last minute and doling out a bunch of money for flights home for Christmas, start your strategy right now. Open a couple credit cards now and get those huge sign-up bonuses that are available from many credit cards, and have those points in your back pocket, and then use points to go home for Christmas, because you're going to maximize your redemptions when you're using it for a ticket that costs a lot in cash. So the airlines have gotten better at sort of matching cash prices to points, but definitely plan ahead and open a few credit cards and get those sign-up bonuses, and maybe get your family home for Christmas without doling out the cash.
Let me ask you this, Clint. How about the rates of these credit cards with all the points and the various miles and the cash back? How's the APRs? How are the rates these days?
So this is the first rule of the rewards and points game: is you never want to carry a balance. So you always want to pay the cards off in full. And if you can't do that, then don't bother with rewards cards, because you really need to be able to pay the balance off, because you're going to pay more in interest than you would get in rewards. So you have to be really careful there. But another warning for consumers right now is there is legislation on Capitol Hill right now that would essentially gut credit card rewards programs, including cashback card programs. What the big corporations want is they want the amount that they charge per transaction on these credit card transactions to go away. And that would be a big handout to big business like Walmart, Amazon, and it would come at the cost of consumers. So we're really advocating right now for consumers. Go to handsoffmyrewards.com. You can also use that hashtag on social media. Let your congressman know this is a bad idea. They did something similar back in 2010 and to debit cards. And I don't know how many of you remember that, but after that happened, rewards for debit cards went completely goodbye. So I used to have a United rewards card that I used for my debit card transactions. And after they passed this legislation in 2010, no more miles for each purchase. So I don't want them to do the same thing to rewards cards. So important that we make sure this legislation doesn't get passed this year.
I would agree. I mean, I don't understand why anyone would think that would be a good idea. I mean, why would they want to do that? This is an incentive to, number one, get people to sign up for your card, and number two, give them an opportunity to spend more on the credit card. I mean, why would they do that?
So it's really being driven from big businesses who don't want to pay for consumers to use credit cards. So they don't want there to be any transaction fee, but the transaction fee is what funds fraud prevention. It funds rewards programs. It funds cash back programs. So this is really being driven by big, giant corporations. And they're arguing that the savings would be passed on to consumers, but that absolutely did not happen after 2010 when the same kind of legislation was passed for debit debit cards. The consumers didn't benefit. The only ones that benefited were giant corporations.
Gotcha, Clint. All right, so we've talked a lot, several different things, some tips and tricks. Where can we go for more information about this?
So go to handsoffmyrewards.com immediately to let your congressperson know not to pass this legislation. But then if you really want to dive into the points and miles world, thepointsguy.com has all your information. We've got a ton of beginner content. So even if this seems daunting, there are some amazing deals you can get. I've flown around the world in business class cabins by using rewards from points and miles. And I've also saved on some last minute flights home for the holidays. So really, really a lot to learn out there, and it's worth your investment. You could end up with some really amazing experiences, or even just save some money on gas or groceries.
Love that idea. Clint Henderson, appreciate it, managing editor at The Points Guy and Rewards Expert. Thanks very much.
Good to see you.
February is Heart Month, and heart disease is the #1 killer among men and women in this country. #1. Okay, it kills more adults than any other disease. And so it is so important to keep your heart health good and solid and optimal. Let's bring in Dr. Supriya Swarmup to talk more about heart health and heart disease. She's a cardiologist with St. Francis Hospital. Doctor, how are you this morning?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about the common heart attack symptoms, ways that people almost can really kind of say, okay, I may need to see a cardiologist, or I may need to go to the doctor's office because they're having some of these symptoms. What are they?
Right. So the main symptoms for somebody who's having an active heart attack is chest pain, substernal, it's right in the center of the chest, crushing, pressure-like, feel like elephant is sitting on your chest. It can radiate to your left arm. It can go up your jaw. It can go to your back. Those are the typical symptoms. Women present atypically, and we have to remember that. Women may not present with those symptoms at all. They may actually present with stomach ache, nausea, vomiting, GI upset, just non-specific symptoms and pains in their upper chest area, and you just have to pay attention to your body and be in tune with it.
How can we reduce our chances of getting a heart attack?
#1 is get yourself screened, plugged in with a primary care physician who is keeping an eye on your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your family history, probably doing an EKG on a yearly basis, and making sure that the risk factors that contribute to having a heart attack are very tightly controlled, and they are diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, for the majority of it.
How does family history play a role in all this?
It's major. I mean, family history, we always ask about family history, and we're talking not, oh, my grandfather had a heart attack when he was 80. We're talking about premature family history. So we're talking about men in their 50s, women in their 50s and early 60s. That's a significant family history. And there, the genetics play a huge role, and that's something that we do take into consideration.
Doctor, I want to go now to Barbara Pinson. She is an 84-year-old that is currently on the line with us, and she's had not only an experience with you, Dr. Swarmup, but also with heart disease. Barbara, are you with us?
Yes.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. And you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, so tell me, Barbara. Tell me your experience with heart disease. What was it like? What happened, and how you are dealing with it now?
Well, I didn't know I had heart disease, and I was tired and didn't have any energy and all that stuff. And I went to the doctor, and they signed me up for a stress test. And then from there, I went to Dr. Sarup. And they say I had congested heart failure, and I've been under her care for over a year, and look like things are working out pretty good.
Did you get any kind of warning signs? Did your body tell you, hey, maybe something might not be right and I should get it checked out?
Only thing my body was telling me, I was just tired.
Uh-huh.
I just didn't have enough energy. I didn't have any energy. That's the only warning sign I had.
Gotcha. And so when you were tired and maybe excessively tired, more tired than you're used to, what did you do after that? Did you go see the doctor? What?
I went to see the primary doctor, and they ordered tests, a stress test, and then a echogram and all of this. And this is when they discovered, I guess, I had congested heart failure. My heart wasn't beating, I guess, at the rate it should have been beating.
I gotcha. What would you tell Barbara, anyone that's watching here, about heart disease? This is February. This is Heart Month. About ways to be very focused on your heart health.
I would just say try to eat right and exercise and do whatever your primary and your heart doctor, your cardiologist tell you to do.
Okay, and Dr. Swarup, over to you. Is there anything else? Is there any other screenings? You mentioned an EKG should be something that perhaps we do every year going into our physical. Is there certain age restrictions or certain times? Is it a yearly thing? When?
Yeah, so usually, screening for cardiovascular disease starts at 40. So once you hit 40, you should really start seeing a primary care physician every year. And they may not do an EKG, but going off of things like your comorbidity. So what kind of medical history do you have? What factors contribute to coronary disease? Genetics, family history. They may refer you to a cardiologist, and the cardiologist certainly will do an EKG at least once a year to make sure that we're watching for signs of heart attack or any rhythm imbalance or structural heart disease that we can pick up on EKG. Absolutely, 100%. So at 40 is really when the screening should really start and ramp up.
All right, I got you. Anything else you want to let our viewers know, Doctor? And Barbara, it's open to you as well. Anything else you want our viewers to know that would be important about heart health? Doctor, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think that heart health is something that it's not just about the heart, it's actually about the whole body. So really paying attention to your body, your symptoms, and not waiting till the last minute to seek medical attention. The preventative aspect of this really starts with making sure that we are aware of the things that we can do to improve our health to begin with. So like Ms. Pinson said, exercise, eat right, make sure that, there are plenty of online resources about what a healthy diet looks like, how much exercise we should be getting. The ACC recommends 150 minutes of aerobic exercise a week. So however you want to break that up, that's something our body should be getting a week. So it really starts with not just the heart, but everything else. And then that contributes to your heart health. And when we talk about the heart, month like February, it's not just about heart attack and congestive heart failure and all those things, but we really also have to pay attention to stroke. Stroke and heart health are very, very closely related. So if you have any neurological impairment, please don't wait till the last minute to seek medical attention because you could be exhibiting signs of a stroke. So really pay attention to your body, take preventative medicine very, very seriously, and get yourself plugged in at least with a primary care physician.
Okay, Dr. Swarup, we appreciate it. Barbara, it's great to talk with you, and thank you so much for weighing in on everything. And I'm glad you ladies joined us on the digital desk. I know it's helpful for our viewers. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that does it for us here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the sunshine out there. We have Action News 5 midday coming up at the top of the hour with Ariana Poindexter. And then we'll see you bright and early on a Monday morning beginning at 8 o'clock.